Good evening. I'm going to open the September 11th meeting of the Recreation Commission. Anybody on Zoom with us joining? Maggie, do you know? Is there?
There is nobody.
Okay. Well, let us know if someone does join.
Their loss.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
I wanted to start with introducing and welcoming the new member of the commission, and we'll go around and introduce all of ourselves first, so you know who we are, and then you can say hello.
Great.
Phil Griffiths, the chair of the Recreation Committee.
Matt Boger, Commissioner.
Daniel Rodriguez, Commissioner.
Pete Funkhauser, Commissioner.
Maggie Ledoux, Community Engagement Manager.
Lee Jackson, Director. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
For serving.
EJ Kamiani, the Assistant Director.
Wonderful. And my name is,
Sorry, you can go ahead. There's
Jenny Sicardo, General Manager, and Jess Porter, Assistant Town Manager.
Bob Reilly, Recreational Facilities Manager.
wonderful. Laura Stearns. It's great to meet all of you.
wonderful.
Will
Welcome.
you just take a minute and tell us a bit about yourself?
Yes.
I don't want to probe here, but.
Okay, yeah.
You're new to me anyway.
Me too. So I've lived in Concord for just over 10 years. I moved here from Cambridge and I actually lived in Concord when I was 22. My first job was in Concord Center at apartments behind the Starbucks, left for a while and then came back with my family. I have 3 sons. They are 11, 9, and 7. They go to Thoreau School and the middle school and they take advantage of a lot of recreation activities. So I was reflecting on that when I was doing my application. I was like, we've gone to carousel, we've done after school, we do chess club, we do lots of sports with Daniel, some of them. So I was just excited. I really
No.
go, and now I feel like I have the bandwidth to get involved. So this seemed like a very relevant cause to me and a way I could add value. In my day job, I work in HR at a consulting firm, so I lead every piece of HR except recruiting. And
Wonderful. Great, thank you and welcome. We're glad to have another parent with kids using all of the stuff in the maybe some of us who will remain nameless, their kids might have aged out with some of the recreation stuff that's going on, but that adds but we've got a lot of perspective and we can we're glad to have you here joining us. All right, first order business routine approval of the minutes from our July 2025 meeting. Did everybody have a chance to look at them? Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? All right, is there a motion to approve the meeting?
I move.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, I thought we'd start our discussion this evening with just refocusing on a couple of major projects that we have coming up this fall. Perhaps some reprioritization, sort of checking in on where they are, because Lee and her team have a lot of work ahead of them on a couple of these projects, and I think we're gonna sort of help them understand priorities and some decisions that have been made. It can be an open conversation, but the first one sort of a big project that's going to be coming out this fall is the Ride Out Court resurfacing project. Where we are with that, Daniel and I were on a subcommittee looking at all this stuff with a number of people from Department and Public Works as well. Looking at a number of things. The way we organize it is we set this subcommittee to go out and do a bunch of research, make a recommendation that we'll bring back to the commission the fall. We have established sort of the budgets for various different options to look at. Bottom line is what we intend to do is in October, go out to have a public meeting about what it is we plan to do there. We've come down to a couple of things. The courts are going to get resurfaced, whatever happens, right? That's not a big issue. You need to resurface courts. What will be of more interest to the community is what we decide to do with those tennis courts. As everyone knows, there's a lot of interest in pickleball being done out there. So what we plan to do is go out to a public meeting with 3 different options. One of them being just redo them exactly as they are now. 3 tennis courts, also lined for pickleball, that you can put in temporary nets, take them up, take them down for pickleball. Convert all of those tennis courts into an official dedicated pickleball center where it's, I think it would be 8 courts that you'd end up having there if you did it that way. 8 courts, which would be actual pickleball courts with pickleball nets. So there would not be access to tennis there, but you would have a greatly improved pickleball experience. Or something in the middle. 2 tennis courts, turn them into 6 pickleball courts and keep 1 tennis court. So we're gonna go out to the public and see what people have to say about that. What we decide to do, what you decide to do with the actual design of the courts doesn't really affect the budget that much because you're basically resurfing and putting lines on. I mean, there's some costs for nets and things like that. So there's a marginal difference. From a cost perspective, it doesn't make that much of, but for the users, it's a big piece of the puzzle. So there's public meeting planned in October, administratively, the way we did it, the subcommittee will host, the project committee will host that meeting, take the feedback and then come back to this full recreation commission with a recommendation of how to go forward. There's a parallel piece to this project, which is there are a couple of different options for resurfacing in terms of the materials you use. There's a conventional asphalt, which has a 5 to 10 year life. There is something called post-tension concrete, which has a 25 to 30 year life, much better surface, but it costs about $400,000 to $500,000 more to do that. We're gonna talk a little bit later when we come to the capital budget. You sit here about allocating what funds are allocated to this. Roughly, if you squint a little bit, town has approved $230-something thousand a number of years ago, 2019, I think it was, $230,000. We have previously approved $300,000 or $400,000 from the revolving fund to do it. The numbers gotta squint a little bit and we'll get all the detail back, but roughly we can afford to do the asphalt with that kind of funding. There's a delta we haven't identified for doing the post-tension concrete, which definitely makes more sense. You put in the post-tension concrete, you get a 30-year life and you get a lot less annual maintenance. Our calculations today is over 25 to 30-year life of this, you would save about $1.5 million. Because you would have to redo the thing
Correct.
at least 2 more times with the asphalt. And there's a lot of ongoing maintenance. So it would save the town over 30 years, about $1.5 million to do post-tension concrete now. Our thought is that we would go to the CPC and ask for that delta in money to say, okay, we've got enough money to redo asphalt. Can you help us out with the delta so that we can do it with post-tension concrete? That's where the project stands. It should be quite an interesting meeting in October. I think there's a lot of people that will have a lot to say. There's a lot of people that are active about pickleball, but I'm sure we're gonna hear some folks who have other things to say about that as well. And we'll see. So questions, anybody want?
I would comment simply, good luck. The country club, Concord Country Club had a big debate over 2 or 3 years about pickleball and tennis courts and whatnot. And it was very impassioned, shall I say, and you may find that when you get to your public meeting, because tennis people are nuts about it. I mean, you tell them you're gonna take out the tennis courts, they're gonna go bananas, and
Yeah.
the pickleball people are equally enthusiastic because it's a wonderful sport.
Yeah.
And so you may be in for some controversy there.
Yeah, I think that's a good controversy to have, right? It
It
should be a
is.
good conversation.
Yeah.
I think it'll be great.
So CPC fund, applications are due, I think, fairly soon. So this will be the next year?
No, we're gonna put something in
Okay, all right.
by September 19th, I think.
Present- okay.
It'll be what we've done in the past. It'll be the best information we have to
Great.
date
Oh, good.
about budgets and process. And as we get closer, we'll refine it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Great.
It'll be in the $400,000 to $500,000 range.
Okay.
With the cap, with the argument being, it's a vastly improved pickleball experience. That's what you're paying for. Potentially less of a tennis experience available. But you're saving the town $1.5 million over 30 years, and expanding the opportunities.
Again, so I just got on CPC and I'm learning a lot. When they see an application, do they say like, we approve the full thing? Or is there any option, and I don't know this, could they be like, we can give you half that funding? Has that ever been a process or?
I would guess, and I haven't been there. I've only been here a year.
Okay.
So I haven't actually been to a meeting myself.
Okay.
However, I would imagine it might work similar to grants and grant funding when you apply for a grant. You go in and you ask, say, 300,000 to add more summer camp opportunities for kids who are in financial need. And sometimes they come back and say, well, we don't think we can allocate that much. What are you gonna do if you only get 200,000? I imagine it might be a similar process because I do know there is an interview. And I do anticipate that they're battling, lots of different needs. And so I can't imagine it would come up, I'm able to answer those questions. And obviously with Phil, if we have to go, once we do that, we'll figure that out.
I think the other point to understand is, given the condition of the courts now, and the fact that we have some money from the town and from ARPA that expires at a given date is no longer available to us. If for some reason the CPC does not fund it or is unable to fund it, we intend to go ahead with just an asphalt
Yes,
replacement,
okay.
because the courts need it.
Strong argument.
Yeah.
And so because I know exactly where they are, to the left of it, is there housing there? I know there's this would just be for the,
Man, he lives there.
is that where you?
That's why I was like, he's there every day.
To the 3 tennis courts and the basketball court will get resurfaced as well. So we
Right.
should clarify that.
Yes,
The basketball court will get resurfaced. I don't think we're not proposing to do that with the post-tension concrete because it doesn't get nearly as much use as the other ones. And the
Okay.
use actually makes a difference in terms of the lifetime of these things. So it's the 3 tennis courts, right, just off of Lawsbrook Road. And the basketball court, all of that would get resurfaced.
and there is housing.
So I know
would say
sometimes there's this
housing right near
noise.
right.
This
Yes.
would just be, is there any noise issues?
I
And
believe
that'll-
it has not been, it's been incredible. That was one of the first questions I asked Phil when I started here, was Phil, how are we doing pickleball right out and how's it going?
So
And we haven't had any complaints here.
there hasn't been any complaints, and the reality is pickleball is played there all the time.
Okay,
So
good.
we would have heard the complaints. I mean,
Yeah.
if we go do this with the courts, you might see maybe a 15 to 20% increase in the use for pickleball. It's getting used all the time
Great.
already. So if people were gonna complain and have issue, I'm sure we would have heard about it already.
Great,
Yeah.
Good.
They may take the opportunity to complain when we do a public meeting, which is, okay, that's what they will do. But I think it's. I don't want to tip my hand. I think it'll be a good conversation.
good.
One question, so is resurfacing these basketball courts out of the cars already?
It is not, it is coming up after right out.
Okay, so but right now in October, we're only gonna talk about right.
Yes, we need to
Yes.
do one at a time
Yeah,
just to
yeah, yeah.
manage the project itself
Mhm.
really well. We feel like we should just do one park at a time. So right out, then Emerson.
And we'll look in the capital budget we look at later has some money programmed for Emerson 3 years out. I can't.
Yeah, yes, I will be going through that because tonight's our capital improvement
Okay.
discussion and vote. So you will be hearing a lot more about that in the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that conversation will just be about, right, and we'll have that in West Concord, so people out there have a chance to.
And right now, we're gonna talk about the tennis courts, like the 3 different designs, and what about the basketball courts, like
Essentially, as is.
as is,
Yeah.
just
Recreate what's there.
So the question for them is gonna be about the tennis courts. How we're gonna do it, like keep it as is or like
Convert all or some.
or a hybrid,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
the basketball court, the proposal would be just redo it,
Okay.
the 2 courts as they are.
Okay, so question.
I mean, I guess we could.
No, that's fine.
Comment on that.
We just
People could
wanted to
comment
know
on that, But
what
we don't,
the-
we're not going out with any proposals.
As you say, for it's gonna be,
It'll be fun.
Yes.
You're all welcome to come.
Startling how much money it is. I mean, this is not my field, so it's just $500,000 to do this is,
The whole thing's about 1.2.
wow, okay,
Just for one
It's
park.
quite remarkable how much
Wow.
it costs.
Hmm. Interesting. But it's used.
Yeah, it
Yes.
gets a lot of use. I
Very
mean,
nice.
there's a huge amount of pickleball going on there.
Hmm.
All right, the other 2 projects I want to talk about, we're gonna get through this quickly, is, as many of you recall, the Maisie O'Donnell dry dive training facility at the BD Center. The family came and presented to us, we heard about it, and we all said, this sounds like a good thing. The staff have reviewed the options and we're all supportive of seeing this happen. They're out doing a lot of work fundraising. They've met with the school committee. And I know the family has had a meeting with the town manager and
Yes.
it's going towards the Board of Selectmen soon. Jess, do you remember?
Yes,
do
I
have a
believe
date.
they're targeting, it's either October 6th or October 15th.
So, my guess is there'll be some discussion at the select board meeting, but I would anticipate they would say, we would like to see this go forward and the fundraising will continue, which means there's gonna be a lot of work on our team to see how this is going to play out. We're gonna have to work with other people in the town to make it happen, but I know that Jenny and Lee are gonna be spending a lot of time there to make sure it gets done right and to be involved in the design process, the feasibility process, everything that needs to happen. You know, the next step, assuming the town says, yep, we're on board, is gonna be some kind of feasibility, just to look at all the issues that we need to understand about permitting and use of just sort of the questions we need to get out of the way and understand what we're all getting ourselves into, but assuming that all goes forward, Jess and, I'm sorry, Lee and Jenny, probably many of us are gonna have a lot of time involved in that project. I think it's a wonderful thing, to be a great addition to the BD Center, so we're gonna commit what we can to doing it. We don't have on our staff the ability to sort of manage big construction projects. So there's a lot to be figured out about how it's actually gonna happen, but our team is gonna be plugged in very closely on that project.
Amazing project. So would this be a summer construction thing? And how would it relate to use of the pool?
I would say that, oh, I'm sorry, were you done?
No, go ahead. So I would assume doing it in the winter would be harder and the great swim team, which Maisie was a massive member of. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, that has not been determined yet.
Okay,
What
yeah.
time of year, but you're right, it makes sense that it would need to be probably done during the warmer seasons or shoulder seasons. Maybe we could get a start, but that'll all be determined by the feasibility study. And
Right.
they'll do the concept in the feasibility study, and then they'll go to final concept and, design and construct. So we will be working with the facilities department and engineers in town and the whole nine. So I'll be bringing that information to you on a regular basis. We do meet monthly, so since we have a monthly meeting, know that maybe we'll make it a standing item on the agenda. We'll decide that, but you'll hear from me in terms of where we are and what we're doing. And as we get closer, there will be a public timeline that I'll be able to announce. I just don't know it yet.
There's a sort of working committee being put together with the family, works the town, everybody who needs to be involved. And stay tuned, it's gonna be very, I think it's gonna be a great thing for the town. Just wanna make sure we can pull it off right.
Fantastic.
With those two big projects on the plate for the team this fall, and also because the town has made a decision related to Giroux to finish some work from phase one, independently of what we might be doing in the Recreation Commission. I think, what I'd like to propose is we had originally intended to have our sort of phase two Giroux project that we were gonna look at with water access, playground, et cetera, to launch this fall. The town has decided they're gonna do a little bit more work with Public Works and some other folks to do some other stuff out there now. So my recommendation is that with all this other work that we just table our work on Giroux for a year, see what happens while they figure out the other stuff. They're gonna do some work on some benches and other things like that out there, just to finish off the first phase before we get any more involved in it. So we'll let CPC committee know that our intention would be to postpone for a year or see what happens if any other work on that. But I bring that to his attention because we had spent a lot of time talking about Giroux. It's been a challenged project from the beginning, so we're just gonna hold off on that work so that our team can focus on these other two projects for the moment. I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments.
Who kind of is responsible, owns it? It's not us yet, right? It was going to be given to the rec department, but we really don't have any say over it. The town has it with the intent of having us manage it, but we're not managing that.
We are
Is that
not
right?
yet,
Okay.
and that intent is to be determined.
To be determined. Okay,
There-
all right.
sort of- There was we had sort of thought that's the direction we were going, we may not,
Okay.
and it's just, it's a little still up in the air, but the town is gonna finish off some more work that they wanna get done before we get engaged, which is probably a good thing. Anybody have any questions about that?
I
Okay,
would just add for anyone who's, in the case there's anyone on, I would answer saying the town now is holding it. They are offering permits if people want to access the pavilion at Giroux. And I am on that permit committee, with DJ and the assistant director, and that's where people will go. It's Megan Zamudo, the assistant town manager. That's where they go to ask, can they use the Giroux property? And that's the area that they thought maybe they'd give it to us at some point, but right now it does still sit with the town. So if people are wondering, that's how, if you get the question, where do people go? I just wanted you to know where they go.
Good.
They can email directly to Megan Zamuda right now. They can ask for access to Duro, they can ask for a permit or barbecue under the pavilion, et cetera. And then, she has a committee that goes through those with her and DJ and I are on that. So we see it too. But that's that process.
And just so you know, we have Wendy Ravelli and Mary Hartman on with us.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
Two good ones.
All right, thank you. Any more questions on those projects, or we move on to our next topic? All right. Jenny and Bob, you
I'm
guys,
going to invite Bob up to take my seat for this section because we're gonna show him up. He's gonna talk about the August projects at BD and so. This is the August shutdown is a typical annual thing for us. I'm not sure if you know if you're a swimmer, but it's an annual item. And we just want to make sure that you know what we do so you can celebrate with your friends and as you hang around or residents ask you. But it is a once a year event and we got a lot done this year. So I wanted to make sure you heard about that.
Yep, during our FY 26 annual shutdown, we completed a wide range of cleaning, repairs, preventive maintenance throughout the facility. The major projects this year was the replacement of the starting blocks in the lap pool. That was a significant undertaking and an important upgrade to our swim programs, generously donated by the Friends of CPHS Swimming and Diving. In addition to that, the pool.
State champs.
Yeah. In addition to that, pool received extensive maintenance. The lap pool and dive well were partially drained, super chlorinated and cleaned. The dive well also had the drain covers replaced by a scuba dive to maintain VGB code compliance. Keep the water health happy with us. The warm water pool and children's pool were fully drained, scrubbed, and serviced, including tile cleaning, handrail polishing, and chlorinated fluids. Across all the pools, strainer baskets, skimmer baskets, and related equipment were inspected and cleaned, and key mechanical parts were replaced as needed. On the pool deck, we scrubbed and cleaned all surfaces, inspected and serviced the ADA lifts and lifeguard equipment, and completed repairs to tile and fixtures. Locker rooms and family change rooms all had the floor drains cleaned and snaked as a preventive measure. We also replaced shower curtains, shower heads, repaired tile, and painted walls and doors. In the fitness centers, all cardio and strength equipment was deep cleaned, oiled, adjusted, and organized, with a small equipment inspection replaced as needed. Finally, we addressed the common areas, exterior grounds, mechanical spaces with carpet shampoo and painting and landscaping, backroom junk removal, and system repairs. In addition to these highlights, numerous smaller tasks were also completed throughout the building. Too many to list individually, but together they add up to a noticeable improvement to the condition and presentation of the facility. Overall, the shutdown was highly productive, with the starting blocks being the big replacement standing out as the year's major project.
that's right.
How long did that take?
1 week.
1 week, full week, okay.
Yes.
All right.
The blocks themselves, I believe, were 4.5 days, somewhere around there.
What was the total donation from the Friends of the Swim Team?
I believe 93,000.
2,000. That's great. That's great.
50,000 of that being for the purchase of the blocks, which were manufactured in Italy.
Oh, really?
Now they're really fancy.
Italian racing blocks, nice, love it.
28.6 was for installation of them.
All right, now here's the important question. Did you find anything that we need to know about? Any structural things, any equipment things, or is that Jenny's gonna?
Oh, we can talk about that.
Was there, were there any surprises? Anything we didn't expect to see?
During shutdown?
Yeah, or didn't you just find anything? Yeah.
No, nothing during shutdown. That was something like that we opened up that wasn't there before, that we weren't aware of, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, Jenny's gonna talk about our capital outlay for next year and some of the things we want to do there on it.
Sure. Yes.
Oh, great, thank you.
I don't know if you have to fire that up first.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do have paper copies if you guys want
Please.
to take notes, if that works for you. Yeah, sure, okay. Such a fascinating how things. Give it a minute.
Thank
You can actually see, we'll see it up here on the screen, but you can see a picture of the new starting blocks in one of the
Oh, yeah.
cover page there. You have it bad.
Where's that?
The strip on the right.
Yeah.
On the recreation.
We're gonna set it.
Oh, yeah.
This view
It's
correctly.
hard to see in there.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, the blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're colorful.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I just have the other one.
Thanks.
Thanks. So I tried to break this up into categories. So we're gonna start with aquatic center projects, and then we'll go to facility projects, but just to kind of make it easier to go through. So under this first category, we do have our UV light system for our warm water pool. This past year, we installed one in our lap pool and we're seeing some great results. The UV light system uses ultraviolet light rays to neutralize bacteria, viruses, and algae. And it's a cost saving on water, which is in line with Concord's efforts to be more sustainable. So that's a estimated cost of $70,000. Our next line item is pumps and motors for all of our 4 pools. We operate 6 separate motors and pumps for all 4 pools. Motors drive the pumps that circulate the water, ensuring proper flow and water quality for all of our pools. So they're essential to our operation. And that's a $40,000 estimated cost. Deck equipment, we would like to, with wear and tear, replace a diving board, which we should be doing every year. We have 3 diving boards and they get quite a bit of use. So with the wear and tear, we do put in our capital budget each year for replacement diving boards. We also can always have a backup one if one breaks. New steps for the lap pool, lane lines for the lap pool, pool chair lifts, ladders, and pool chair lifts and ladders to improve the safety of the facility because they do get quite a bit of use, and that's a $25,000 estimate.
How often are the pool lifts used? I know they're important to have. I'm just intrigued. How many-
Daily.
Daily, did you? Okay,
Yes.
interesting. Okay.
More so, I would say in the warm water pool, that's probably the one that's used the heaviest, and the dive well as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But yes, daily. Reoccurring valves and plumbing for the aquatic center. This is something that always is needing replacement, and this prevents costly repairs and ensures smooth operations. $25,000 estimated there. And then miscellaneous just upgrades. This will provide funds to support repairs throughout the facility. Just stuff just comes up and we need a fund to be able to support all of these. I'm gonna kind of give a pause here before we move on from the aquatic center to see if any of you have any questions.
So traditionally, do you have the miscellaneous improvements and how much do you utilize that on an annual basis?
We traditionally do have it, and I would say on a regular basis that we use that. I don't know if you want to chime in on that, Bob, but
Yeah, it's actually, we're kind of up against a situation where we may have to use some of those funds, right? We have
Yeah.
our waste tank where we backwash into. We're having some difficulty with the pumps now, so we're gonna explore that with a professional, and we may have to replace this. And that was unforeseen, it just happened yet.
So this is 185,000 FY 27. Is that roughly the same amount you've used each fiscal year towards routine maintenance? Is that a big bump or is it?
you know, I can't really speak to, I've been here just about a year and a half, but I would say we're moving in a direction of doing more preventative maintenance rather than putting out fires. Cause I would say when I first started, there was definitely some equipment and needs that just weren't happening. And then we find ourselves in a situation where we don't have, you know, hot water for 3 weeks because we haven't replaced our hot water system. So I think we're really just trying to be mindful of getting ahead of things so that we can continue to grow and have members enjoy the BD Center.
Or just, you may know this already, but if you didn't, everything at BD Center operates on its own fund. There's a
Yes.
fund that is just
Enterprise.
BD Center, an enterprise fund. Everything else recreation does is
Got it.
a different fund. So that's why we look at these things separately.
Right, with no general fund support is the only
Yeah.
add sentence I would add to that. It's
Okay.
fully funding itself.
But that's great. I'm really glad to hear it's,
Yeah.
you know, a small amount of preventive maintenance every year, so we don't have to spend $500,000 and shut things down and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Okay.
Next slide.
Moving on, yes, now we're gonna focus more on facility improvements. We have budgeted $60,000 for parking lot patching and partial repaving. Just being in New England and with the weather and a lot of use of the parking lot with the snow plows and just wear and tear, we are gonna need to continue to do repairs on that parking lot.
Get confused. Who owns the parking lot? I thought the school did.
So the school owns the land, but the
Okay.
BD operates the parking lot.
Okay.
So, yes, that's our responsibility.
Okay, great.
And it's in the agreement as part of our responsibility. Remember that there's a school agreement that I can reshare, now that Laura's here, I might reshare it with you.
Oh.
But that's called out, all the details are kind of called out in that agreement, so maybe I'll pass it
Yeah,
out
that's
to
great.
you especially, but yeah. it's in there.
Topic for a future discussion.
Yes,
It's up for renewal next year, I believe.
no, we got a couple years, maybe two,
2 years?
yeah,
2 years?
but
Okay.
it's time that.
At some point, it's time to start the conversation if there are
Exactly,
things that need to be done differently or anything we want to
Sure.
change. And it seems, again, future conversation, but
Yeah.
let's just park that and keep it in mind. And
Sure. Carpet replacement in the upper, lower and lower lobbies and offices. We are working this year to get the roof replaced. We've had significant leaks, so we have a lot of staining on the carpets. And we want to wait for the roof to get replaced, so we're not continuing to, have leaks before we replace that out, but that's definitely in need of replacement in both the upper and lower lobbies. Lobby furniture, this I budgeted more out of capital outlay operating budget, but looking to replace out the lobby furniture, which is dated, and just to make it more modern and actually add a bit more furniture to accommodate to more people. 30,000 there. Miscellaneous building improvements, this is a kind of a similar bucket where we just have some, a fund there to support stuff that comes up along the way. I don't know if you have any specifics on that one, Bob, but.
It could be a leaky window or could be a problem with, say, one of the doors or those type of things.
And then a water heater replacement, $60,000. We replaced one this past year, which was actually more of an emergency. It wasn't expected, and we learned that the second one, our backup one, has about 1 year left or less. So we want to just get ahead of that and get that replaced out.
How long should that last? What's the
12 years.
10 years, well, 10 to 15 years.
10, 15 years?
Okay, moving on, so this is more strategic planning and growth. So we would like to do an external safety review and we budgeted $50,000. We would like to have an outside group come in, and this would provide a roadmap for the next 10 to 20 years to provide just some information on how we can have a sustainable operations. We'd have them go through our mechanical room and evaluate the safety of our equipment. We would do a comprehensive evaluation of all of our major building, everywhere around the building, and our aquatic systems. And then it would provide a cost analysis and allow us to better plan ahead for our capital projects. And then we would,
Jenny?
yes.
Safety then, is this about safety of the people who use the facility?
would you like me to answer that? Sure. Okay, I didn't want to step in.
I'm a bit confused.
No, it's okay. We were trying to name this correctly. So it's common for people to get an external analysis of their department policies, procedures, blah, blah. At BD, it's really important because we have so much chemical use and we have a mechanical room that people are in and working in on a daily basis. That certainly Bob manages that day to day, but we want a peer review. We want an external peer review to say, yes, we agree, your chemicals are stored appropriately and in the right place. And there's no chance of explosives. So when you say, is it safety per customer? Yes and no. It's really safety of our whole operation. How are we doing? Are we doing well? We want feedback that is external, so we're not subjective when we walk into, to look at these kinds of things. So this is the first time we've done such a thing. I imagine it might be the only time we have to do this kind of thing for the next 15 to 25 years. But we feel like it's important because we want to be the best. We want to do the best we can and assure our safety and your safety and everybody's safety, right? So.
sounds
And
prudent.
yeah,
Mhm.
and next one is an expansion feasibility study. So we would like to assess the blacktop, which is the existing slab on the side of the building, and see if it's a space that we could use to add on a fitness studio. We would like some dedicated space that's on site to offer our fitness programming. So that would be budgeted $50,000 there.
Where would that go?
So, if you go into our building and then we have our cardio room and then we have our strength room, on the cardio side, there's an outdoor area that has a blacktop. And we would do a study over there.
The foundation
yeah.
is already poured, so it's an easy, let's enclose this thing and let's add the fitness area. Or if that's not feasible for whatever reason, another concept would be just to extend the cardio room. But either way, we do need more space. There's high demand. Especially we're in New England, so it's winter a lot of the year. So when she and I started together, we both had this vision that, yes, why aren't we using that space more effectively? So.
Not that you have to answer this definitively now, but. Within an order of magnitude, if we go through, we identify this, is this stuff that we would have funding in the BD fund to pay for, or do you
Yes.
envision a fundraising activity
You
or?
already have it.
You've got the monies all,
We do, sir.
you think so, okay,
Yes.
that's great.
Okay, and then the last area is more of our fitness space. So a replacement of the cardio room floor, I tried to put a picture there, so this is not real flooring. On the strength side, we have Mondo flooring. This is kind of that floor that you, like puzzle pieces that you put together and it's coming up. So this has been budgeted, will be budgeted in our capital outlay operating budget, $30,000 to replace out that floor. And then the second one, replacement of cardio equipment. We have budgeted here to replace out all of the equipment. The equipment is pretty aged and we think it's best to replace it all out at the same time so that we can better manage it and not have mix matchy pieces of equipment if we're doing a few pieces each year, but it will give us an opportunity to get on one cycle with managing the equipment. And it will save us some significant dollars along the way because we do pay quite a bit each month just to keep the equipment up and running with repairs. And
Is there a market to resell those?
so you can resell, you could resell to, say, if we went through Life Fitness or another vendor, potentially you could sell it back to them. Or, I mean, maybe you could go on Combis as well and.
We do have to
sell
put it out to state bid.
Yeah.
Surplus it and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to surplus it, or put out to state bid, but I do think that Jenny might be accurate. I have to go talk to finance to get particulars. But I do believe there might be a special way
Yeah.
for us to buy and sell at the same time. Meaning to give it back to the company we're purchasing from and allow them to handle it as part of the purchase, but I do need to look into that. It's not official. I'm not positive. If we aren't allowed to do that, then we do need to put it out on state bid for someone else to pick up.
Yes.
Some of this equipment is nearing 20 years old, so.
Yeah. it's rusty
Yeah, maybe
and
people
all,
don't,
yeah.
right?
And then the ages.
So do you guys know what equipment is like in and people want to use? Like what's the high demand? And again, you've got some age ranges where
Mhm.
maybe the tad older people want to use something and other
Yeah.
younger. What do you have a?
So I
Much
mean,
on
it
that?
really varies. We do get a good use out of all of our equipments. We do have a lot of recumbent bikes, which are very popular, some upright bikes. The arc trainers are very popular. This past year, we put a climber in there, which is getting quite a bit of use, like a stair climber.
Oh, okay.
And some ellipticals. So it really depends on the population. I do see a lot of the athletes using the climber and maybe some of the ellipticals, but it varies. I mean, and then you get into the colder months, it's pretty busy in there where people are on every piece of
The
equipment.
athletes are what, students? Who's an athlete?
So an athlete would be, we have a lot of
Yeah.
students there on the campus. We have our very robust swim team. So they do a lot of out of water training.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So yes, and we do see quite a bit of students in our facility and a lot of them are more on the strength side where they're doing, free weights and lifting.
Are you
They do-
replacing those two or this is just?
So
for
the
these?
strength room is actually in our budget this year,
Okay.
in our capital budget this year, so we plan to do that in December. And all that equipment is original to the building as well, and it's still functioning, but it's rusty, it's older, there's smaller equipment now that's easier to maneuver.
Mm.
So it's just time for an update.
I think we should talk to Meggie about communication and outreach about how, because that's pretty big for people at the BD Center to say, whole new weight room, all the equipment updated December, next year we're doing all the floor. That's some pretty good news and we should,
Yeah.
make a little hay out of it, I think.
Yeah.
Say that these are your dollars at work and this is good
Mhm.
stuff. And I mean, beyond just the BD people
Yeah.
as well. I'm sure they'll see it, but I think the community should know, this is the thing you invested in 20 years ago. It's now time for a refresh and we're doing it.
Definitely.
And thinking about expansion and new facilities and all that stuff. So let's think about something around, December when you're gonna, around the time of starting and say, hey, here's part one of all the exciting things and we can update on the O'Donnell project, all that kind of stuff. Let's do some good PR, but I think it's worth getting some good publicity.
Sure. And then just this last slide is just a master spreadsheet of all of our projects, previous years, our current year, and then 27, which we just went over, just for your review. And now I just open it up if you have any questions or want to discuss anything.
So just go one back if you don't mind. So I'm just wondering, so the miscellaneous building improvements. So we've allocated $25,000 each year, it looks like, which is
Yes.
great. How much of that $25,000 do you use? Do you use up to that level or is there carryover stuff?
Sometimes we use more, I mean, and we're just, taking it out of our operating budget.
So would you say that's kind of a minimum that we
Yeah.
anticipate each year?
That's the minimum. Okay, yeah, interesting.
What's the status of the roof restoration project?
So, the roof project is underway. I think soon we're gonna be coming up against some cooler weather. So the middle section of the roof needs to be completely replaced, which they can get done before the winter. And then the two outside areas of the roof are gonna be refurbished. And that's a liquid pour over, and I think it's gonna have to happen in the spring because it's too cool outside.
Is that-
It's like a liquid that they pour over.
Don't stand on the top and pour it runs down.
And so,
Bob can-
yeah, Bob would
Bob
be more
can
of the
talk about
expert,
that.
but yes.
Liquid membrane. But the weather has to be right for it, if it's too cool, then it's not gonna cure it.
Wow. So we are in New England and we have a flat roof. That seems, is that problematic? Is that part of the reason that it leaks or I'm not an engineer, I don't know.
From what I'm told, right, there's been some equipment replacement up there over the years and that just left the roof vulnerable, to some leaks that occurred, they're different sizes of equipment and things like that.
And I'm sure you've thought about this one, that project and its timing with expansions of the cardio
Yeah.
room and expansions that we're
Yeah.
at least cognizant of how those may fit together and what they do. I don't know if there's any issues, you'll raise them up to us for discussion. But it seems like
Well, you're talking about order of like the O'Donnell project.
when does it happen?
and
And
their
does it affect the
feasibility.
feasibility? Yeah, all this kind of stuff.
I
Phil,
think-
can I have, will you entertain a question from the select board?
Sure.
liaison?
Yeah,
Thank
go
you.
ahead, Matt.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say that I'm a big fan of the BD Center. As Jenny knows and Bob knows, I'm there probably 5 days a week. So I think it's one of the best assets we have in town. But I have two suggestions. And one is, remember, all of these things need to be approved by town meeting. And one of the things that I would suggest is that we do a marketing study so that we find out what the town needs. Because we might be there and look and see what the people there are saying, but maybe there's a need that we haven't tapped into yet. So I think you might want to think about doing some type of a marketing study to find out what would bring in the revenue that you need to cover your expenses. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that the demographics in Concord, we might not be aware of it, but well over 37% of the people in Concord are over the age of 55. And that's based on 2020 census data. So there's a big demographic of older people. In fact, 67, 2/3 of the people in Concord are over the age of 35. So I think Beatty and Rida particularly are places where you can really go after that demographic, because I know we do a great job with the recreation, the camp, but I think we've got an untapped, we've got a market out there that I think we could probably serve maybe a little better. So those are the two ideas I'd like to share with you about the BD Center's future. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Anybody else have any other questions for Jenny?
Slide. This was just our last slide for the last discussion and vote. We're here to support any questions you have. We're only asking for a vote for FY 27. On the last slide, you saw future years, you saw previous years. We're truly only asking for what Jenny just went through with you in the slides you have in front of you. for today. And the reason we're asking for a vote is truly so we can move on to that town meeting that Mary was just describing with an actual number, right, that you are in full support of. So, you know, I want to be able to say we have a unanimous vote on the Recreation Commission, we have one abstention, one, you know, that's why we're asking for votes for these capital project presentations today.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, the tone I'm picking up is that we're doing preventative, we're thinking ahead. Say, these are all exactly the things you should do, so you get my unequivocal support. I think it's the right approach. Anybody else have any questions?
Motion.
Motion to support the FY 27 BD Center capital budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah,
Great work, Jim. That's really.
Yeah,
It's
nice
really,
presented.
thank
it's
you.
really great to see the way you're thinking about it and getting ahead and getting it. It's really impressive.
Yeah,
I just have a comment regarding the public relations of the meeting.
sure.
The meeting that we held with the O'Donnell family, there was a reporter from the bridge there. And then the article appeared in the bridge, which was fantastic, you know, it was all very positive about this project and what we're doing. That's a resource that we can use for our recreational facilities to spread the word about what's going on. If you do have some major capital improvement or some program that's going on, if you can get a reporter to come over and take a picture or two and talk to them about what you're doing, they're dying for information in that paper, you know, they really want stuff about town to put in it. And you.
Bless you.
And they would love an opportunity to come and see what we're doing and then talk about it in the newspaper. So don't
I love
forget
that.
that. That's a
Love
real
that idea.
resource that we have.
We will remind each other, we disagreed.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, excited.
I
Thank you,
really
Tim.
appreciate it.
Jenny.
Yeah, and then I think DJ's coming back up to join me. We're gonna go through the revolving capital projects now. So I'll just state it. This, some of you may already know, but there we do have public joining us. So we have a revolving fund that funds essentially everything we do outside of BD Swim and Fitness. Right, so that includes things like the summer camp, the sports programs. It has over time, maybe over the last 3 years or so, check me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't here, but over time, we have been able to generate enough revenue to then adopt and bring in all of the administrative staff into that budget as well. All right, so we're highly successful. That's very good. It's also very unusual, but it's wonderful, right? For the town, meaning we don't have to go to general fund, we don't have to go to taxpayers and ask for their support. So that's fabulous. So the way the revolving fund works is that it's money in with fees and then money out. We have to have a zero balance at the end of the year. Okay, so we're able to do that with our operating budget that we work from day to day. We also have projects, capital projects, just like the BD Center that I'm going to present to you tonight, that we want to support from the revolving fund. We do not want to have to go to general fund to ask for updates on areas that I would just say areas that we use regularly and we use intensively. So last year, if you were sitting on the commission, I brought forward the same, you know, plan, capital improvement plan for you to vote on. So I made a few significant changes over the last year in terms of thinking about our projects and how we might use the revolving fund to pay for those so that we wouldn't have to go to general fund for support. The Ride Out project actually came up. It was voted on last year when we were all here together. It came up and of course it came in higher. So I'm gonna do my best to walk through this slowly for you so that you have a chance to really absorb kind of these changes. And we will do, it's a similar slide to show where we'll have a vote and discussion at the end as well. And I also have a master spreadsheet of all of them, just like Jenny was showing you on screen. I'm gonna show you mine in person too. So I'm gonna hand it out at the end. But we'll take our time here because we've made a pretty significant changes. So, so that's just my introduction.
Before you jump in, can I ask one
Absolutely.
question? I didn't follow what you said there about a zero balance. We have a rolling balance in there. You just have, expenditures have to match what's coming in.
Very
now.
well.
But-
Expenditures have to match revenue.
But we don't, we can maintain a balance in there
We
because
do.
sometimes we miss the targets and you move them there.
We do have a balance, so thank you for bringing that up. So we have about 2.1 million in the revolving fund right now to use on our capital improvement plan, which is what I'm about to present. And then you'll see the total at the bottom. It's about 2.1. And
So,
then,
some background that, Lee and her team did a lot of work with the town manager and the finance people to sort of
Sure.
rationalize all this stuff and get it in place. So, during the, COVID pandemic, there were funds coming in, crazy stuff going on. And so we did a lot of work over the last 2 years to rationalize that, to get in there so that the staff are funded there. We know it's funded there, and we can now actually go through the process of how much funding is there to go out and do capital improvements for other things. Caveat being that in the world of recreation, at a particular municipal level, while we can fund a lot of what's more sort of operational maintenance things, replacing pieces, when you have significant capital improvements, redoing the courts for the tension Concord, we have to find other funds for that. So this is sort of keeping up what we've got going. But if we came up with something that was a really big, huge expense, we would not be able to fund all of that out of the revolving fund, and you'd go to the town and ask for help, other ways to figure out how to do it. But
correct,
this is mostly just sort of operational maintenance and routine capital stuff.
correct.
Thank you.
And you'll hear that right now. Some of it I'm gonna be asking to share with general fund. I'm gonna say that we can cover this much, but we're gonna need a little help from general fund to do the rest. So you'll hear that a little bit and you'll get ratios. That's why I wanna go slowly. I really wanna know kind of what you think about that and whether you can support it. So at the end of it, hopefully you'll ask your questions that you need to ask, right? And then we'll decide, is that percentage right? And do you feel like it should change slightly, et cetera? And DJ is here to be our money master, and he will do all the refiguring so that when we do call a vote, it's the actual number that you want it to be. Okay, that's my goal.
I have a question. What's the source of money for the revolving fund? The income,
Fees,
what people pay to participate in the various programs?
correct.
Well, so in that sense, it's a bit like the Beatty Center. The Beatty
It's
has
exactly
income
like
from
that.
the programs they run, and then
It's exactly like that.
Okay.
So typically, the way I understand it and what I've read, of course, from Mass General Law, is that the enterprise funds are really looked at as business. They're really truly separate. They get going, enterprise funds get going as business. They want to have that entrepreneurial spirit. It's just a kind of a different way of looking at it. The revolving funds are typically generally can be part of municipal government, but you can set aside a revolving fund if you realize that it can actually pay for itself. So you separate it. You separate it into a revolving fund, and then you work really hard and diligently to make sure that it does cover itself. And so, yes, that is exactly where we are. Yeah.
thank you.
So are you ready? Okay. Oh, you know what I want to say? I want to give credit to Carrie. When I first started working here to Carrie and Phil, we were talking about how the recreation fund can better support our capital projects than what I was seeing as I opened my door and came into to work here in the town. And Phil and Carrie, pulled it together. So I want to, thank Carrie and acknowledge that she has asked for, us to relook at that. So I just want to acknowledge that. Not yet. Thank you, though. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is one of the significant changes that we're making on our capital improvement plan over last year. So I want to present a concept. We are proposing to the Recreation Commission tonight to consider a concept of studying a splash pad instead of the Emerson pool. So last year, if you recall, I brought forward the capital improvement plan. Emerson pool was at the top of that plan. And we mentioned to the commission that we certainly needed feasibility and some work done on the pool. We weren't sure what it was, but we knew we would need that feasibility to figure out what it was. And then we needed to do the project of actually replacing those certain items. Over the course of the past year, we've done a lot more work and study on the pool. And here is a concept I want to present to you. We ask you to approve a concept of studying a potential splash pad instead of a pool. By concept, we simply mean looking into the possibility of replacing the pool. And when we look into it, we would host a public meeting, a public comment meeting before a final decision was ever made. We'd be bringing back the information to the Recreation Commission for a vote on whether to move forward with that splash pad design or to keep the pool, okay? So I just want to be really clear that I'm not saying we're going to take out the pool tonight. I'm saying I would please like to study. Can you just approve the concept of me studying a splash pad instead? And now I tell you why. Emerson Pool, as we found out this last year, is really looking like it needs a full replacement. All of the Emerson Pool currently sits in the revolving fund, and it's extremely expensive. We do not actually generate enough money to pay for the pool itself in the revolving fund. And so we've come together as staff and tried to figure out what should we be doing? What can we do? How can we move forward with this? And so there's a couple more things that I'll mention. We think that pools are not as inclusive as spray pads. You need to know how to swim. It's gated. People can't just come in and use it when we're not there, right? We have to have staff there. We think it's much more inclusive to have a splash pad. It would be entirely managed by recreation. It would not need the help of the CPW or facilities. We would like to utilize the 110,000 that was previously approved by you all last year to do a feasibility on a spray pad project. With that money, we'd hire a consultant for feasibility. We'd host a public meeting. We'd bring back that public meeting recommendation to the commission for the commission to discuss and decide. You could either say, obviously, Lee, we want to keep the pool. Lee, looks like the community supports that spray pad. It's much more inclusive. For diversity purposes, obviously, is a goal of the town. Inclusivity is a goal of the town. This takes away all the barriers to use by community members. Right now, the camp uses the pool, right? So we have hundreds of people using it. If we had a spray pad, thousands of people would use it. So for me, it is the concept that rose to the top from the staff. So we think that we can do a split here with general fund. So we think general fund, we'd pay 80-20. So 80% to 20%. Is that right? We pay 80% and then we're gonna ask for the general fund support of 20%. And I'll be a little more detailed about it than I usually am. But typically we think if we use it a lot, we should pay for most of it if we can. And that if it's open to the town, as it would be outside of summer camp, still block it for summer camp during the day, we would use the splash pad. But when we walked away from it, it would be obviously fully accessible to the community. We feel like our summer camp kids, which are so critical to us and make us all, I think, all of us smile and very happy, and I hope the community too. We think that it's appropriate for the summer camp children to use the spray pad during the day and, for just water play, right? And then if they want to go swimming, I have spoken to Jenny and her team, and they're supportive of the kids walking the, 3/4 of a mile up the street with their camp counselors, right? If they want to swim, they can swim still. So Jenny's figured out a way to do that. We do a similar thing in the town I live in Medfield, where summer camp goes to walks to the pool and stuff. So it's doable and it works. And then that's how they would swim. And then we can just open it up for the community. So we're looking at thousands versus hundreds. We're looking at a way to manage it more fiscally responsible for us. It takes away all barriers and it gets to the inclusivity and diversity that we're trying to support in this community. So that's my spiel, for lack of a better phrase. But I'd like to sit on it and let you think about it and read more or ask a question.
I have a question.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
really ignorant. What is a splash pad?
Okay, so I thought about bringing pictures and I was like, oh, if I bring pictures, someone's gonna stay too focused on the picture. So a splash pad is all kinds of designs. DJ and I went to visit one when we went to National Parks and Recreation. They could be a stone surface, right? So it's just picture just a stone surface, almost like the fitness center floor that she showed. You can do a foam surface, kind of cushy. It really depends on how you want the water to flow, how the water being cleaned during the filter process and recycled, or is it being used fresh? A lot of that impacts the surface. In terms of design, there's all kinds of options. I am going to sit here and say that what I would propose is the first option to be considered, and of course, you're the community, you get to decide in the long run, but a more natural spray pad. I don't know if you've been to Newton lately, but Newton has just installed one of these natural spray pads, and it's simply rocks, stones, natural features, very kind of environmentally appropriate. It's not too much color, it's not too much height. For me, hearing about the community a little bit around here and thinking about it myself, it seems like it's a more natural fit for our environment here. But essentially then there's water, right? So then there's water play. And so I have two girls and they were not Newton, but we used to live in near Belmont. I think it was the Belmont Park, but we used to always go there and we'd spend hours. I mean, my kids would spend hours and hours and it's just water shooting up out of pipes, right? Rolling off a rock. they can shoot up from the ground, you can have rainbows, you can do shows, actually, you can do colors. Remember what he was saying? They put on like a little theater where they can have color play in the water, and it's just kind of a fascinating experience for young children. And so that is kind of what we'd like to do. We think we would do a cleaning filter, a filter that would recycle the water, right, Bob?
So, so I have a question, just your estimated cost, 1 million, what is that? That's for putting in a splash pad?
Yes.
That's what that $1
Yeah,
million.
so I did talk to my colleague in Newton and just talk to her about the size and the scope of the project. She's the commissioner there. She's just installed it. And that was the estimate.
So just so we have a reference, and I apologize if it's in there, I didn't see it. The cost of replacing the pool, I mean, that's what the reason you went down this path is because we think we need to do a complete replacement of the pool.
Right.
Which is a what project? I mean,
I'm sorry,
how many million
financial?
dollars? Yeah, how many million dollars?
It's gonna be over $1 million. Bob, what would you say is the cost of replacing the full pool? Were you able to look into that?
No, I didn't get any like full.
Okay, well, we estimated it somewhere around $1 million, I believe, last year over time. That's what it would cost. Now, even though this is a similar cost, it's more inclusive, there's no barriers, et cetera, and we get general fund support because we're not the only primary user.
I also think it's differentiated from anything else we have. Like I was looking for a splash pad around here for a
Okay.
long time. My in-laws live in Belmont, so we've been to that.
Okay,
one
isn't that Belmont the one where they had the? Yeah, so.
Yeah, and I don't, just like when you read the Beatty brochure, you can do White Pond or you can do Beatty Center, or you can do the pool. There's like a lot of places to swim, but we don't have anything.
Exactly, that was
like
another
this.
reason, yeah.
So, and my kids have gone to this Three Rivers camp too, and some kids, including mine, you know, they don't want to get into the pool because that's a big commitment and you have to change, but they would run through the splash pad. I think a lot of kids.
My kids have used them, they're great too. When you go to camp, is there an expectation that your kid's gonna learn to swim at camp?
You can just swim
Okay, yeah.
if you want to, I think, DJ, tell me if I'm wrong, but
We don't run off for swim lessons.
You do not, okay, interesting.
I think
alright.
the pool is relatively small compared to the number of campers, so that would be.
Yeah, so we have a certain ratio that has to be met in the pool, so we have counselors that are in there. They do have to pass a deep end test if they want to swim in the deep end.
So it's just recreational, there's no swimming test, there's no
Swim lessons.
interesting,
Not for
okay.
camp.
I will also note, we used to have a splash pad here, I think that predates me, but we still, even to this day, this summer, we had people come in looking for the splash pad because they read about it online, or there might have been some old article.
Where was that?
Right next to the pool, there was a splash pad there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have old pictures of it.
So yeah, it's all tied into town water then,
Yeah,
so, and that's what caused, some issues and what ultimately made us get rid of it, so.
it's another question, can people become members? Like currently right now, do people become members and can swim there outside of camp?
yes, he's the specialist on that. I'll let DJ answer.
So this past year, we did not do Emerson Pool exclusive memberships. We extended the membership to BD members to be able to use it. We opened it up on weekends from 12 to 6 for day passes. So anybody could come swim, pay $5 per person and use the pool. It's a lot of it lands on staffing. Ideally, we'd like to open it up every night after camp. We've tried that in the past where we ended up shutting it down multiple nights a week. So staffing was the biggest issue.
Cause you need a lifeguard.
We need 2 lifeguards.
Gotcha.
And the splash pad would take that barrier away.
Yeah, interesting. So my first reaction was like, oh my gosh, you're getting rid of a pool. That seems like insanity. But the more I think about it and the more, cause someone who's 80 could come down there and put their feet in there. And I just looked some pictures of what it could look like. I was not ready for this, but I'm contemplating
That's why I
it.
wanted
And
to-
actually, yeah, it seemed very changed, but
You'll note the language in there. That was me talking to Lee about, make sure you tell them we're not
Oh, yeah.
doing
Yeah,
that. Just study
like
it.
it just seems so, but because I do think the value of this is maybe a parent thing, having kids learn to swim is a huge thing, but that's we don't have the responsibility of that.
We
Right.
can do that at BD.
You can do that at BD, right?
Every day.
White Pond, we can do
And
that.
so the camp kids coming to BD is not going to affect your utilization, or do you build that in anyways?
So we're gonna build it in. We do rent to some camps right now during the day, because BD is not as busy
Sure.
during the summer as it is in
Sure.
the fall. So we have some, I mean, I think you might hear some of the members might have some concerns with it, but we have a dedicated shallow end, we have a kiddie pool. So I think it's definitely doable if we kind of cycle kids through where we don't have too many at once, but we are currently renting to other summer camps during the summer months.
Interesting. And remind me, what was the highest level of camper you have here, sixth grade?
That might be a DJ question, he'll be right
Seventh
back.
and eighth.
Oh,
Seventh,
actually,
eighth?
you know.
Yeah, we have, the truckers are 7th and 8th graders.
Thank you.
Okay, and the truckers are here, or are they trekking somewhere else?
They spend 2 days of the week here, and then the other 3 are on field trips.
Okay, yeah,
They do utilize it.
interesting idea, though. And,
Okay.
sorry, one more question, so if no one was here, would it still be spouting? Like, could someone come at like, during the summer and it's 7 o'clock, and someone be there to someone, how would you turn it off?
It'll be sunlight, it'll actually be determined by the Recreation Commission, but the sun, sundown is usually when these things close,
Yeah,
right? At
okay.
sundown, and sun up is when it starts, and so we can schedule it, we'll end up using an app, Bob actually would end up using. an
Yeah,
app.
yeah, it's like,
Maine going,
turn it
on the fountain.
and
Well,
you
maybe
don't
you'll
need a
have-
staffer there.
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there's one in Boston, like downtown Boston,
Yeah.
that had a set schedule, and you could see people coming in, waiting, knowing exactly when it was to go off to run
Well,
through.
nice, it's like the giant ring fountain they have on the
Yeah.
Greenway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great,
That's
which is
that's
great.
That's a splash pad. I don't know if you know the Greenway and the big,
Yes.
the ring near the sort of near the aquarium. That's one version of a splash pad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
and it can be many different things. It can look many different ways. I will comment that one in Belmont is actually a DCR owned state facility, I think. And the
Hmm.
state DCR has gone through and gotten rid of a ton of swimming pools and turned them into spray pads.
Oh, really?
Because it has a lot of maintenance and operations savings and, different components of the community can use it. And your point about a variety of offerings is a really good one. We have other swimming locations, but something for little kids to play in and in town is something we don't offer.
Big concept, all right. All right, I'm easing into the pool. I'm easing out of the pool, sorry. I'm easing out of the pool, all right.
Out of the pool.
So we'll let you ponder it a little bit more, obviously, we're not gonna vote till the end, and you'll have another time for questions, but.
But the request for now is how much are you asking for the feasibility?
Right
study?
now, it's already been voted for the Emerson pool, we'd like your vote to move it to feasibility for the splash pads.
110
110.
right there.
110,
110.
okay.
Yeah, that was previously voted, and I'm just asking to move it.
I would just suggest that having the number of, if you were to replace the pool, what that number would
Yeah.
be, just to have that to be like.
For the
this is what-
public meeting,
Yeah,
we need to
public.
have, lay it out much more as here's the replacement cost, here's the annual operating cost, here's the staffing cost, et cetera. Versus this is all important
Absolutely, by
stuff.
the time we get there, I will, because I'll have a little more time.
And the staffing costs are gonna be no staff compared to 2, I mean,
Got a hard enough time getting lifeguards for
Yeah.
the pool at Beatty and at White Pond, but having another one is.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but it is a story that you're hearing, and you have been hearing it through COVID, it was terrible. To get lifeguards, it was a terrible time because of the training that lifeguards required. And Jenny, you can jump in if I'm wrong, but the trainings that are required, they couldn't even offer during COVID. So you can imagine that was a huge drop of people that couldn't even get that training, and so there was a later push after COVID. But lifeguards just really haven't come back, and so you'll see, like you said, the DCR is shutting them down, they pulled them from Walden here. I mean, it's just happening everywhere because of the shortage is real, and it's not getting better, it's not
Mhm.
going away.
thank you for the point that DCR is doing something similar,
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
useful
good.
to know, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so there's only 4 or 5 projects here, but this is the second project. This is a project on, we wanted to do hunt feasibility, expansion and redesign. So the changes from last year really are only in terms of how much money we would want to take from revolving and how much money we would ask for with general fund. So revolving, we want to pay 1/3 of the cost of the feasibility and expansion of this building. The basic reasons that we want to do an expansion and updates to this building, we currently don't have enough space for our current program demand. So we're doing okay with some programs here, but we have a great interest and a great talent here. And there's a great need for more programming in Concord, and we want to satisfy that need, and currently we don't have enough space. I would say that we have extremely outdated facilities, including this room. If you look around, we don't have a proper conference room clearly. But most of it is just that the whole building needs updating. You can look around and see the painting, the walls, that kind of work, but the kitchen, that we need bathrooms for our staff. I hate to bring this up, but I'll try to bring it up in an appropriate fashion. In the summertime, we have 250 kids here. And it's a licensed program. So we're licensed by the state. It's an excellent, high quality program that we are not going to move away from here. What ends up happening is that we have 9 or 10 staff here in a given day that cannot use the restroom. Staff cannot use the same restroom that licensed summer camps use because of the children that are going into the restroom. They can't be in there with staff that aren't also licensed within that program. So as you can imagine, it creates quite a problem when we have 40 or so staff that are overseeing the summer camp, my 10 or 12 inside this building. The other staff, 40 or so that are running the camp, they can go in with the kids, they can help the kids, get into their swimsuits and stuff, but it's the other admin staff that we're running to Dunkin' Donuts.
You can't use a single,
Other people we're running, right?
you can't use a single one?
So, I'm just gonna ask him to finish the plea on the staff's perspective, because poor DJ gets to hear it from staff more than I do. But can you please add a sentence or two about the issue?
We just, during the day, there's groups constantly in and out of the bathroom. Still, we use the inclusion room. They use that individual bathroom pretty routinely. Public's using that bathroom as well because we keep that open. So the timing overlap sometimes, as Lee mentioned, up and out to Dunks, or I know some staff that will stop at White Pond. Is the trailer there, and they'll start working there in the morning before coming over here. So there's definitely a need, and it's been asked about since I've been here. It's been 5 years.
To answer your question, that first bathroom has been used by summer camp all the time. Kids are coming into actually use the restroom while there's other girls and boys, a whole group of them, 12, 15, in the other bathrooms changing. People have to use the bathroom at the same time people are changing. You can see there's quite a bit of a problem there. So all in all, I would say we need a full updated internal space. We need a proper kitchen for the now 10 to 12 staff we have here daily. You can walk in and see how small it is. I know I did a tour last year to show you this, to kind of make the claim that we really need to do feasibility and look for expansion here. But that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
So again, the same question. I mean, I think it's a very valid question that when you have an unsustainable situation for staff and kids in the camp, that's clearly something we need to address. But what you're looking for is how much money to do a feasibility study. It's unclear to me here. And how much is the actual feasibility study that you're asking for?
Feasibility, 110.
Another $110,000.
Oh, sorry.
100.
100,000. So your estimated cost of $1 million, that's a placeholder number
It
for
is.
what it might cost
It
to
is
actually do that.
absolutely.
And you're talking about how that may get paid for. That's something that you are sort of floating out there as a suggestion from looking at our revolving fund revenues and how much money we think we would have in out years. We think we would be able to put in roughly a third of that, because
Yes.
when we started this conversation, this is when I was talking about the major capital investments, we can't fund all of that out of the revolving fund. So this is gonna have a larger conversation with the town about that, and town meeting, all these sorts of things you're gonna have to prove out. We're just putting that out there as, we think we need to do this feasibility of this so that this can maintain its status as a hub for the summer camps, which we do,
Yes.
and as a facility for our staff to have all of the recreation stuff going on there.
Yes.
We think this needs to be done. We think we've identified about a third of an anticipated $1 million in our
Yes.
long-term capital planning. That's the placeholder we're putting out there.
Absolutely.
Further conversation to be had when we actually do a feasibility, we realize how much money it might cost, when it could happen, et cetera.
Thank you so much for saying that, Phil. So yes, we are working within, remember, 2 million, 2.1. And so what I'm presenting tonight, everything I'm presenting to you in the facts and figures regarding how much out of our fund, that's why I'm trying to make it clear that this is the amount that we think we'll need. And you're right about everything you said. Of course you're right, but we're in alignment around everything you said. And I guess one thing more I'll mention, because I don't think I said it this year, I think I might have just said it last year. The expansion part of it, we do want to move out. So at the end of this hallway, I know I walked you all down last year, but we want to see if we can push the wall out, there was what we call a side lawn. Some of you may think it's the back or the front because there's a door over there, so I wanted to just call it a side lawn. But we have a classroom that we currently use there, and it's a mixed use, people rent it too, but we use it as kind of a classroom, and it's an open space. I'll be more than happy to walk you down there afterwards. We actually need a bathroom there too, because our programs that come there are also licensed. And licensed programs really need an accessible bathroom within the room that kids are in, and we're not meeting that requirement right now. We really need to meet that requirement. So actually, that's what got me thinking about all of this, is that we absolutely have to do that. And so in order to do that, we did a quick look and we realized, we really do need to add a bathroom. Well, why don't we push out? Because of all the demand. It's winter time, people want to come in, they want to do a class, we could add more fitness programming perhaps. But we did look into the side lawn in terms of the, Jess, what was the overall, property? Do you recall the title of that, that I sent you?
Yes, you're talking about the deed.
Yes.
That we have council.
Yes,
I wanna say it was an acre maybe that we had
Yes.
to work with.
yes, thank you so much.
There's an acre
I can
over there?
recall it. Just this
Oh,
whole.
I wanted to, I was like, oh, yeah.
Property. It's funny because these are taken in pieces and parts almost from the gift. The Emerson family gave, yeah, so we can't really touch the other two, by the way, that we learned while we were doing this investigation. But we can this one, because this recreation building is on it. And in fact, we could expand in terms of that particular deed. Now it's up to us to decide whether we can do it in feasibility, blah, 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 how much it would cost. And of course, like Phil said, once we have feasibility, we will know how much it's gonna cost. And that's when he and I, or the appropriate chair and assistant would meet with the town and discuss kind of the money and how we might split it up.
Yes.
This is a great location. It's so old and it's so evident, right? When you walk in, even this room. I'm trying to think, so if you bump it out, the gym on top, it comes straight down, right? So how would that look with the top part of it?
That's exactly right. I have that
Okay.
same, I'm so visual.
Yeah.
So I had that same vision and I thought, can we bump the gym out too? Let's just see if we can bump that gym, make it longer, get another court, play some more basketball.
Yeah, that would be expensive.
I know,
That's
but I would
really
think
tough.
feasibility though, we should go ahead and study it.
Yeah.
We should go ahead and know. That way we don't have to do it again later. At least even if we don't decide we can do it, we don't decide we can afford it, let's at least discover it. Let's be, adventurous and discover what we can do.
I'm gonna ask a question, which I think I know the answer to, and it's more a comment rather than a question.
Mm,
There's a presupposition here, which I think we all agree with, that this facility as the hub for camp and everything that's going on here, this is where we want to do it,
Yeah,
and
this
it
is-
works. It
yes,
needs some improvement. We're
Yes.
not suddenly gonna say, you know what, let's think about
we're correct.
the team that's here, likes it here, wants to stay here,
Love it
works
here.
well here. We just need to make it workable.
Yes,
Because there is a larger work group, which will come to, the town is looking at all these opportunities for things that are going on all over town. My take on it is that it's the hub. You come by here in the
It
summer with the
is.
camp going on, it's a
It
wonderful
is.
place, and we don't want it,
we
you
put a little bit.
don't wanna get rid of it.
I mean, this was a gift from Emerson's family, like how could we, and then it's so close to the town center, I think I
Yeah.
wrote more on
Okay.
some of the other slides, I mean, it is just the key place, it gets the most use out of any park property that I have seen, I've been around a lot,
And the
Um,
team
the team-
recreation with all the other things you're doing,
yeah,
this is your hub. This is where it all comes, the staff and
that's where we
everybody.
wanna be,
Okay.
yeah, it's where we wanna be.
Do you have any ideas about the multipurpose area where you're gonna do?
Yes, so that's that discussion about multipurpose. We've had a couple, we're sharing a couple of ideas casually on concepts, so I hope when we do feasibility, I hope the people that we work with ask us these very questions, because I would like to hear my full team, be present and obviously have time to contribute, but certainly he and I, DJ and I, have walked around and talked about the multi-purpose room currently. I don't want to be negative, so I'll just say it is not up to par. I'm just gonna say it is absolutely not up to par. If I was a family member here, I would say absolutely not. Let's go, let's get this place up to speed. So that's kind of the thinking. I try to walk in with the resident kind of mindset and say, we could do better here. We could do better and we should do better. Let's see if we can do better.
The multipurpose area right now is
So right now it's at the end of this hallway on the left.
on the left, okay?
But we're thinking of a separate kind of multi-purpose, that might be fitness related, that might be
Okay.
dance related, that might be even art related. If we set up an appropriate expansion and just push the wall out, we could have both a multi-purpose classroom, which is a need right now that we have, and that's not gonna change. But we could then also have perhaps another room that's separate, that can be used for all kinds of activities that I just said. We could have tables that slide off and are stored behind the wall so that it's open for dance, for fitness, for yoga, for more intense fitness programs, because as we know, we have that need as well in wintertime. No one can go, we don't have a place to get off.
Yeah.
So that's huge for us. And then certainly other adventurous fitness.
I just want to make sure, I don't know if Mary and Wendy are still on the phone. I don't know if they can see the screen that's out there.
They can.
That just note that final design, construction, when the expense comes, we're not talking about, it's fiscal year 29, it's several years
It's
out.
way out, yeah,
And
so
so
we can
this
talk.
is not a, an ask that's coming, you know, in 6 months from now to go on town. This will be long out. We're doing feasibility. We
Yeah.
recognize there's a broader conversation that's gonna have to happen across the town about whether this is the investments we wanna make.
Absolutely.
But we, as the Recreation Commission, we wanna know, this is what we want to think about doing and what we wanna put forward to the town in a couple of years is this kind of expansion, this kind of thinking, but
And yeah,
there's no big money ask coming, but we're gonna fund the
No.
feasibility work out of the revolving fund.
absolutely. And I think that's so true because we'll have to balance against the general fund needs. And obviously there's huge needs right now. So they might say, no, not this year, but let's talk about next year. And that's what we'll do.
Just wanna make sure everybody knows that
Yep.
it's several out years and we're just talking about feasibility.
Absolutely. Next slide. Okay, so the ride out courts improvement, this is the full replacement that Phil was mentioning earlier. I'm just gonna read through this slide and then I'm just gonna pause. I think you've heard a lot of it, but now you can see some of the details. So I'll present that the total price for the project is $1,128,000. What does that include? Well, the total price you see has added the post-tension concrete for tennis and pickleball. And the reason we pick the tennis courts for post-tension is because they get much more use, as Phil said, than the basketball courts. We feel like it's acceptable to have concrete on the basketball courts. The reason I'm bringing,
Conventional con, not the
Yes.
extension, yeah.
yes, conventional concrete, just because it doesn't get as much use. Now, the reason I'm asking you to revote this project is important to state. So last year I brought this forward as two separate capital improvement plans. I brought you forward a ride out pickleball tennis court, request for approval for CIP. And then I brought you a separate basketball courts. All I'm asking today is, can we please combine that? Because now we know it costs more. Can we just call it ride out park improvements? That's simply all I'm asking from you today. We have 392,000 already assigned. Already assigned to this project. It was voted with the help of the ARPA funds and the town meeting funds. We have that money already approved. So I'm just simply asking you to revote, just now calling it ride out court improvements instead of separate projects.
So the 1.128 is, we take 3.392 away from that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, right. Cause we've already allocated those funds for it.
Correct. And we don't run any programming over there, by the way, just so you know, so we're not generating any fees.
Hmm.
So this is really kind of a gift, a little bit of us, but a gift to the towns, but we think we should. I mean, we think it's,
And I
right, and we're gonna add pickleball.
At some point, there's gonna be a conversation about
Yeah.
revenue for
Yeah.
pickleball. So we go.
We're really gonna develop our pickleball program here in the next year. So the tenant, I'm just gonna state my notes, even though I might have already said it, bear with me. The tennis pickleball courts will cost more than the renovation of the basketball courts. Combining the courts, the two votes from last year, making them just one this year is easier for us. So that we can share funding across the project as the project unfolds. With a positive vote, we will apply more funding to the pickleball tennis because it costs more. And get both courts fully replaced. So that is this project. Any questions with this one? Okay, thank you. Moving on.
Seatbelts on, buckle up for that conversation.
Okay, and it's gonna be.
He wants to
fun.
chair that meeting. It'd be great.
He wants to watch it on TV, maybe. Emerson Court. So this is the last project I have to present to you for a capital improvement plan for revolving. Did you have
For this year or next year?
for this year?
Okay.
Excuse me, FY 27. So we're in FY 26.
Okay, yeah,
So
sorry.
fiscal next year.
Yes,
Okay, so Emerson Court's full replacement. Emerson Park is obviously one of the town's most valued recreation assets. It is close to the town center and has the most use of any park in our jurisdiction. The Emerson tennis courts are in fair playable condition, I would say. However, they're very much nearing their end of their life. The tennis courts are utilized by school groups, the public tennis community, and the recreation department minimally. We use them very minimally. The recreation department, for the sake of the meeting, we use the court, one court for 6 weeks during the fall and spring. We have 5 courts there. Is that correct? 5 courts out back here. We use one. So that's when minimally, that's what I'm referring to. The cost below, on the bottom of the screen there, represents tennis and basketball courts getting post-tension concrete to extend the life of the courts by an additional 20-25 years, as we discussed in the Ride Out project. So we think because this is such a popular park, the basketball courts get a ton of use and the tennis courts get a ton of use. And so we would like to try to get the post-tension concrete because it extends the life of the courts. And as you just heard, saves over $1.5 million for the taxpayer if you're talking general fund support and that kind of thing. So the estimated cost for the full project is 1.76 million, and we would like to pay 758,000 out of the recreation revolving fund.
So this is scheduled out this next fiscal year and next calendar year, we would do Ride Out, and it would be in calendar year late fall of 27.
We would be able to start this project in terms of feasibility. We didn't put feasibility on July 1st of 2026.
Feasibility was done.
Feasibility was done, so we'd be able to start the project on July 1st, 2026, because that's fiscal year 2027. Don't you love that? It's good.
But we gotta get through Ride Out first.
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
Yeah.
It's Ride Out, back to you, and that's why I'm looking at you, that you had asked when Emerson.
Yeah.
Ride Out, then Emerson.
Emerson.
That's the thinking around this, is
Yeah,
Ride Out,
and-
then Emerson.
And we're gonna require additional funding. We don't have funding. Maybe we go back to CPC. Who knows what we'll decide to do, but we will probably learn a lot from the first one and see how funding works out and what's going on, but it's
Yeah,
scheduled and in our plan to do Emerson a year or two after we do Ride Out.
You're right, Emerson courts are a keystone to this community.
absolutely.
Just a quick question, who owns the tennis courts by CCHS, although it's at CCHS?
I'm not sure, maybe. does
Who
anyone-
owns those?
On the campus?
Yeah, on the campus,
I was associated.
the school, okay, yeah.
But they'll still send, they have such a big program, they'll still use ours 4 courts, Monday through Friday.
Okay, during tennis
in
season,
spring, yeah.
okay, cool.
Thank you, DJ. We previously voted for feasibility for this, and we actually have already completed it. We completed it with the activity task program for the Ride Out.
Yeah. we
Park
looked at all the
renovation.
courts.
So just so you know, the feasibility's already been done, and that's what he was just pointing me into.
Hmm.
We don't need that feasibility stuff. Thank
So
you.
when we have a public meeting regarding Ride Out, we will, in the introduction, and we're talking about it, we will say. And we intend to go 1-2 years from now, go do the same process related to Emerson. I don't think there will be any suggestion for putting pickleball at Emerson, because we're not that crazy. So, but we'll
And
get
you
there.
can say no, right?
Yeah, we'll get
So
there.
the vision is maybe it's tennis here and pickleball.
Yeah, so it's on the books from our perspective for a year or two out. We're doing Ride Out first, because we found when we did the feasibility, Ride Out needed more work than Emerson. So we're doing that one first. It's on the books to go out later, and we'll do the same conversation, but it's, we want people to know, we're gonna need to find other funding besides what we can come up with in the revolving. All right, anything else, Lee? We got
I don't think so. I think we're ready. So I'm just gonna pass out the master spreadsheet so you can have your own copy. And I'm just gonna sit and let you consider it, and we'll move to the next slide while they consider it. We'll move to the next slide so we can discuss any further. But now you have it all in front of you. I tried to print it a little larger than I was looking at it on my computer screen for you, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Just so you know, I'll just guide you through at least the structure of this. At the top of the top bar, you'll see that this is just the title on the left. This is 27 and future years. Tonight, you're only voting 27. All right, and then, but you do get to see what's happening in future years. All right, if you look to the right. And then I did add specific notes on the far right for each project. The specific notes on the far right for each project are exactly what I just presented to you, but now that you can read it on your own time. And again, there's four projects.
Can I ask a question? Phil?
Yes, Mary, go ahead.
Thank you. We began this conversation tonight by defining what we meant by a revolving fund, which is a fund that pays for itself, right? And
Correct.
yet I noticed that many of these capital projects are relying on the general fund
Correct.
for quite a bit of money, actually. So what happens if the general fund can't afford to subsidize some of these projects? Or what is your thinking? First of all, what is your thinking as far as the rationale to go into the general fund?
There she is.
And then what happens if, as you said earlier, Lee, I think, we've got a lot of spending requests. So what happens if, to some of these, if the general fund simply can't afford this?
Can I answer that, Phil, or would you? Okay, so hi, Mary, thank you so much. I can actually see you now. Hello, and welcome. So I would say that, on our plan, I guess the big thinking is that we have 2.1 million. I want to make sure I keep my commitment to Carrie and to the town and to Phil and the people that were part of that conversation on spending down the revolving fund. So when I look at spending down the revolving fund, that was my first goal. Let's spend it down in the right way. Let's make sure that we're paying for more percentage of the areas that we use. If we use something exclusively, let me try to cover that in the revolving fund, because that's appropriate. So it all came about by just the idea of trying to spend down the revolving fund in an appropriate way.
Yep.
And so what I guess the answer to your question that I'd have, and I don't know if Phil supports it, is if the general fund can't pay for it, it's not gonna happen if we need it, right? So that's when we would come back and say, he and I would talk to, for instance, let's talk about the Hunt Phase 2 expansion. If we do feasibility and we come back with a number and it's 1 million and we need to ask for general fund support, we would do that in the appropriate way. We would go up through the chain of command and we would ask, is there any possible way we could get general fund support for this amount of money? And it won't even get past Carrie and certainly won't get to town meeting unless Carrie feels like it fits well within the town that particular year. So we really have to be flexible. We're totally flexible to that, because that's who actually gets to make the final decision if the general fund's available. We don't. My only thing is I wanted to know what my ask was. And I wanted to know that I could spend down the revolving fund as we committed to, and I wanted to know that we were spending the right amount in the right places. And that's the effort here.
And when we say spend, that's down to maintaining essentially the costs that you need each year and, planning out for how much it costs to run camps, et cetera. So we need to keep a certain amount of money in there, but we did build up a little excess and we wanted to have a rational way of bringing that down to what we agreed with, to the town was sort of the right number to keep in there, because I know a lot of people were looking at it and saying, what's this big chunk of money doing over there? So this is a rational way to spend it down. Sure, I mean.
No, I understand. I understand the spending down the revolving fund, but I think we're doing more than that now. We're going beyond the revolving fund and we're going into the general fund. So that's what I'm talking about now. And so I'm wondering, like being on the select board, I see capital requests from all over the town and it's very tight. Okay, so I would just recommend that when you're going through and doing your feasibility study, that you also think about what could we do if we had to rely on the revolving fund and the general fund simply wasn't available to us. So I mean, you need to think about that, because that's kind of the expectation that the town has about recreation for years, and going into the general fund is a kind of a breach. It's a new way of looking at things. So
I disagree with that, Mary. If you look back at the general fund has always supported major capital, but you can't do major capital investments in recreation without help for some. You wouldn't have the facilities you have in town if you relied on user fees to fund them. That's just doesn't make sense. Different question about this as a relative priorities to other things in a couple of years out.
Yes.
That's part of the conversation we have to have. But the reality is if you're trying to run a recreation facility, you need to have, it needs to be subsidized in some way to do any major capital investments. And that's the conversation we want to have. Is this the priority? Do we want to do this? What does the town feel about it? Rather than sort of having it all about murky as to where it's going to come from, having this fund of money out there to people pointing at that, go spend that, just do that. That doesn't help us move forward the objectives we have for recreation in the town.
I understand.
The answer may come back. Not the priority this year, you know, but we'll have that conversation. And
Okay.
we're trying to prep that in the most transparent way that we can and show people this is the way we think about it.
Yeah, okay, this is just a surprise to me is all.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first, we've been working on this for a couple of years now, since we got in here, sort of rationalizing what we would do with the revolving fund, and this is the question that when we talked with the town, this is what Carrie and I agreed that we're gonna do. We're gonna come up with a plan to spend it down for what's appropriate to put on here and get that agreement, because it was mysterious to all of us when we started a couple of years ago on this process,
Okay,
so.
I think we understand each other.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I have a question. And so for fiscal year 26, $100,000 feasibility study, but the other 100,000 is for?
That's gonna be our contribution, I think, towards the 1/3. Right now, remember, we don't know exactly how much the
Okay.
total project is gonna cost. But we put it there in the notes that it's estimated at 1 million. If rec pays 1/3 of that, that's gonna be 200,000 total, right? And the other is 800,000.
Okay.
So it's roughly 1/3 and 2/3. So that's where that
Page
comes.
230 would be more 200,000 more than 100,000 if it's a million.
Right, exactly. And so then it's an out year, so we'll be able to revote it later.
Yeah.
We'll be able to change it as time goes on, but right now we just put that other 100
Mhm.
in the FY 29.
Okay.
So this is a helpful conversation. So it's basically, right now, in the revolving fund, there's about 2.1.
Correct.
That's about what we would be approving to get rid of basically the entire fund.
Over time, and
Over
we'll
time.
get interest, right? And we'll be putting in more as we generate more. So it'll change slightly. That's why I think it's so important to just look at this every year. Because, I mean, frankly, you might have another priority that you might be able to bring up that just comes to life for us. But we wanted just to identify now for us, you know, the short term, the long term.
Yeah.
And what we had in our current funds, and obviously just vote what we had in our funds. We didn't want to vote more than what we had in our funds because we don't know what that number is.
And you'll also remember, we heard when we did the strategic plan, one of the things we heard was make better use of the stuff you've got as opposed to buying stuff. So we went back and looked at how can we look at some of these facilities we have and improve them, make them better, rather than going out and trying to build a bunch of new things. So it partially comes, there's lots of other new exciting activities that we could be doing, and we will get to those. But that was one of the messages we got clearly out of that strategic plan is you got some good facilities. They need a little TLC though, right?
Yeah.
To get back to the standard we expect. So that was part of the genesis as well.
I think we can move to a discussion and vote on at least this slide, but you're not showing it.
No, I'm not
Never mind,
showing
whenever
it.
you're ready. Any more questions?
Yeah.
I'm happy to
Yeah,
answer.
I can turn this off, but if you want the camera, so you guys can all look at it at yourselves. That's fine.
Hi, Mary.
You can see you, yeah. So just one other quick question. So if we had to fund, so we could theoretically fund the bottom two ourselves with the money we have, is that correct? In full without any,
I'll just articulate it out loud for the people on the screen. Are you talking about Rideout Court improvements and Emerson Court improvements?
yeah.
Okay, and what was your question again?
And those are things that we could fund in totality with the funds that we have in the revolving fund.
If we didn't do anything else?
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
right? Well, hold on, let me get my math.
Yeah, I
My
don't know
math
on
on it.
that, but
One's 1.128, the other's 1.76, so you're looking at 2.89.
okay.
So,
No, not quite.
but if you're adding in the other money that's been pre-approved, which is the 150, no, it's still coming up short.
You still go, okay.
So the other piece of data that would be useful, Lee, that we don't have to get it right now, but for just when we come back, because what you're asking right now is just some feasibility money, which we have. We're not
Yes.
looking for anything else and moving it around. So I think we can get to an approval of that. But what would be helpful, this 2.1 figure, is for us all to better understand what the sort of the annual in and out of that revolving fund is and how much it costs to maintain all the programs, et cetera, and what the balance is that we leave at the bottom at the end of the year.
Leading me, this is so perfect, because I'm gonna be bringing you the budget at the next meeting.
Oh, what a surprise.
Oh my goodness.
But it would be super.
So I'll be putting together the FY 27 budget for your.
But that's a really helpful data point, because particularly if you're on finance committee or you're going to town meeting or other things and you're seeing this number, you're like, where's 2.1? I see it go to this way, and we gotta have, what's our burn rate on an annual year? How much?
About 2 million.
And yeah, and how,
By the
and
way.
what the balance is at given times. That piece of data is useful for us all to know as we go out and talk to other.
Well,
Our total operating budget.
total operating budgets, this year's 3.16.
Just,
Yeah.
but here's.
We'll be.
Here's,
bringing it.
here's how we came,
Perfect.
here's how we came up with the fact that we had 2.1 to spend, right?
Yeah.
This is our burn rate, and this is what's left.
This is actually, yeah, this is sitting in retain. It's been years and years that we've been able to put money in. Like I said, we're highly successful here. It's so much fun to be able to say that, right? And we're in a really good place. And now we just want to help contribute back to the town by investing in some of these assets, as Phil said, ourselves, because it's appropriate. And then also make sure we have enough money, obviously, to do our regular operations. And I'll be bringing an event next month, so.
Well, the thing is that all these are so visible, like the community be like, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That like, and again, Hunt's this is a treasure, but you walk in, you're like, wow, it's dated
Yeah.
in an enormous way. And maybe, the maintenance is not there and it's
And
no
it's
one's
not
fault, but
working.
you got invested.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
looking for some of our highly, anticipated and really quality programs. So there's some changes, but we can do it together. So I'm excited about it and I think.
I want to do just a quick time check.
Yeah.
We have a couple more items to get through, but this has been a great conversation. Are there any more questions we want to ask of Lee before we move to a vote?
A lot of work
on this one.
A lot of work on this.
Thank you. Thank all these people.
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot of work.
All these people. Thank you.
Anybody have any more questions? Do you want us to approve your
Please.
motion to approve the 10-year capital improvement plan for the recreation revolving fund and the changes explained to us?
Second,
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Again, nice work, and I think it reflects a couple of years of effort for rationalizing some of the stuff that's gone on, so I'll applaud you and the team of the town who've been working on that for
Well, thanks for your help, sir.
clarifying it all.
and again, it's a 10-year, right?
Mhm.
I mean, this is
That
not
we can
happening.
change. We're only voting really what 27 because,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's what we take to town meeting.
All right, current CPC applications. Is that
You want me to take-
Yeah.
I
well,
can start.
Matt is our CPC,
And so brand new, it's ridiculous. So I'm,
What is that?
Community Preservation
Okay.
Act Fund Committee. The CPC is the committee. Community Preservation Act is the law. The community preservation funds are the money that.
And isn't there an association too? So
Yeah,
the
sure, there's
CPA, people sometimes just refer to it as CPA, which is kind of confusing. We have so many acronyms, right, in our lives. So CPA, I think is association or, yeah.
It's the shorthand we use is CPC, which is.
Act, okay, and then
Community
the
Preservation Committee is.
committee is who we
They're,
vote.
they're the guys who give out the money, the like people who give out the money. So the CPC, the application is due next week, so we've been working on a couple of them
Yes.
where.
So I'll present to the commission, so it's public, that we had an idea that we were gonna explore this year. We're gonna apply for a CPC application to really get to one of our strategic plan ideas, and it's that increase access to waterways. I'm an avid boater, and so I got really excited about this when I first started. And so we wanted to partner with oars and really look at extending the access to waterways and maybe improving a boat launch. And so I did meet with oars. They are fully on board. We are very excited to work together. And we're looking at the calf pasture. That's referred to as the calf pasture. It is, well, Lowell Road. I'm learning all my roads. Lowell Road. It is not really, there's some work that needs to be doing with the grounding and the leveling. Also maybe some invasive species. We could probably work with Delia NRC. We would have to work with them. It's their land. So it's really a partnership between NRC, oars, and recreation. We did start discovering that. We started walking through that and we decided not to do a CPC application for that this year. We really need to buy some time for NRC to have the time to really look at this with us and prepare proper documents. And frankly, they just don't have the time right now. And so we'll just push that out a year. It's not the end of the world, but we're just gonna be pushing that out for a year. A second application that we wanna do, of course, is the post-tension concrete. And so that's what we'll be doing.
Yeah.
I have a comment on the Forest
Yes, sir.
project. We should bear in mind that there's a private boat rental company in Concord, the North Bridge Boathouse, which has been family run for 75 years. And I think we should be attentive not to do anything that would destroy their business. I know that sounds a bit unlikely, but they've got a rental business and you can certainly think of ways to make better use of the calf pasture and facilitate lessons and that sort of thing, but we should bear in mind that we don't want to destroy a family-owned company that exists in town.
Thank you for bringing that up. I thought of the same thing too. It's gonna probably just be a what did I say, raise the boat? Everybody gets a lift from this kind of experience for us. That's the mindset that we're in. I appreciate you saying that as well. We will pay attention to that and be more committed. We will pay attention to that.
Thanks.
Yeah, my mind starts about partnerships and they might actually want to get in on that, and
Correct.
a lot of people
Maybe,
rent
you
their
never-
boats and head upstream or downstream and like, oh, I'm tired, I don't wanna get back, you guys come, who knows, there's all kinds of ways they might want to be involved or not, who knows, but they
Well,
know.
one of my secret objectives will eventually be for the town to own the Northbridge Boathouse. That would be a wonderful.
South-
Do you know
South-
how excited I would be?
Southbridge, you mean.
Sorry, South-
Southbridge,
Southbridge.
yeah.
Well, the Northbridge is where the.
That's that other.
They know. Take that a minute, yeah, interesting, good point.
Yeah, but let's involve them in the conversation,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. All right, so we'll finish our write-out proposal and get that in for the 19th. Standing topics, Mary, select board, anything else you want to add? We always have our liaisons have an opportunity to add anything else so that they would like to talk to us about. You're mute.
Oh. Can you unmute Mary?
We're starting, no, that was me, Lee, I did that. We're starting to work on our budget for FY 27. We'll begin that next week. Actually, I'll talk more when we get to the liaison to the land use working group, if you want, Phil, so I'll be quiet now, and when we talk, who's gonna replace you? Or do
Okay.
you want me to talk
Yeah,
now?
we'll do that afterwards.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay. Is our finance committee person here? I can't remember.
No.
Peggy Briggs, she was last year. Do they have a new one? Do they have a new one?
She just joined last year.
I feel like they might have
Was it before?
revoted,
Carl
but
and-
I don't.
Yeah, I can't remember. Is it Peggy? It's still Peggy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's not here anyway, so there's nobody else out there that thinks that they are liaison to the finance committee, I don't think. All right, thank you. Okay, so the next item, a couple items that I need to bring up because I have gotten myself into an interesting position. We are required to, or not required to, but by common practice, select a chair for this committee every year, putting it on there. And I've gotten myself onto this land use working group. My participation in this land use working group is a little bit challenged in that they have, at least for the moment, scheduled their regularly occurring meetings on a time when I can absolutely never make it. Out of respect for what they're trying to do, they're trying to schedule a whole bunch of people, so it's not, I'm not complaining about it from that's the best they could come up with. I can never be there, I have childcare responsibilities on the times they're doing it on Friday afternoons. It's a fascinating group, there's a lot of interesting things looking at public safety, public works, all of town facilities and opportunities on new pieces of property that are becoming available. I don't know if anybody else is interested in that role representing the Recreation Commission on that committee. Pete's not here. Nobody knows. Yeah, exactly. So Pete, the question, Mary may want to give you enough now. So I have a personal challenge to participate fully and represent recreation on this, at least at the moment. It's a little bit still in flux. So the floor is open should anybody want to participate in that. And Mary's been a big driver of this whole committee, so she may have some more that she wants to add about that role and how she sees it playing out.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. This is a very large and complex process that we're putting together, which is, okay, we've got some parcels of land that are becoming available to the town. We've got MCI Concord, we have 2229 Main Street, we have the Peabody School. This is like a one in a generation life opportunity of new land available. And the town is trying to figure out what's the best way to use this land. Simultaneous to that is the fact that we're finally realizing that in the last 15 years, we've replaced all of our schools, but we've let our infrastructure deteriorate. So, for example, our wastewater, we don't have wastewater capacity. Our public safety building, if anybody's been over there, is really embarrassing. Our fire station is inadequate, and our public works is inadequate. So we need to finally start making an investment in infrastructure both for growth and for economic development. So this is something that we are finally turning our attention to. And it just so happens that we also have a lot of land coming available. So as you can imagine, this is a complex issue. We invited people from several committees across town. We included recreation for two reasons. The first reason is there's going to be land available for recreation uses. So what are some of the recreation uses that you see might be appropriate for this land? And the second thing we're looking at is consolidating town offices. The town offices within town right now are spread over 15 buildings. And what that means is that we don't always communicate well with each other. We've got stovepipes of information. We sometimes move ahead without making sure that the other groups within town are on board. And it leads to a lot of, well, let's just say we could be more productive and more collegial and more cooperative. So we're looking at consolidating office space, especially admin space. So this impacts recreation in both ways. Number one, we've got land available. Are there opportunities? And number two, how do you help us consolidate some functions within town so that we have better cooperation among town staff? So we need somebody from Recreation's voice on that committee. I'm really disappointed that it doesn't jive with Phil's schedule. We begged him to stay, but we can't, I don't think we can reschedule the day, as Phil pointed out. So that's my sales pitch for, we would love to have somebody from the Rec Commission there. And I hope I've just told you how important your voice is to the decisions that we're facing. We're a fast-moving group. We've got less than a year to come up with a report and recommendations to the select board. So if somebody's got some energy and some time, we'd love to have you there.
And it's Friday afternoons, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it's Friday afternoon.
Has a known conflict, you can't do it. I just have a.
So what's the time of that? Afternoon's a broad spectrum of,
Do you remember when it is?
is it like 2?
I think it's like 2 to 3:30, and then there's subcommittees that meet another week, and that's much more flexible. But it's 2 to 3:30 on Friday afternoons, and there's Zoom meetings. I mean, you know, you don't
And
have.
it's not, and how frequently are they again? I can't remember, every other week?
Every 3 weeks, the main group meets. All 15 of us meet every 3 weeks. And then the subgroups meet maybe every week, every other week, depending on how much work we've done, how much data we've collected.
Yeah, so the floor's open. If anybody has an interest in this super important thing, I volunteered myself when it came up. Just the logistics are such that Friday afternoons, I have a childcare responsibility that I can never get out of. It's not just my child, several others. It's half day of school for my kid. And so I'm taking him and several others after school on Fridays. Is not.
I don't want to speak for anyone. I'd be very interested in that if that is an opportunity, but I don't want to take it away from my colleagues here. But we should have introduced each other. I grew up in Concord and care deeply about it, and I know Mary does a wonderful job and would be very interested. As everyone knows, this is a seismic opportunity for Concord in so many different ways, and would love to be on the ground level of that. So I'd be happy to do that.
Does Pete, Daniel, or do you guys, Laura, I don't know if.
I
Mike?
would be happy to have him.
Oh, yeah.
I know, I would love to, but I have the same problem as Phil, like Fridays are too impossible for me, so.
And I have a travel schedule problem, which is I'm often away for a month, you know,
Yeah.
and meetings like this, you can't miss, you know, they're.
Well, that's
Busy
exactly my,
people are.
that's exactly the thing. And it's an intense amount of work for the next 9 months to a year. But as Mary said, this is a once in a generation opportunity for Concordians to talk about some really important things.
Indeed.
And to so far, the work of the committee, it's a huge question, and there are lots of moving pieces, so. Who knows where it's the time to put your 2 cents in and really, you know, say, this is important and we need to think about it. Part of the question, it may have been transparent, why I asked Lee is. We want to stay here. We don't want to go anywhere. It's too tied to what we do in this space. That's part of where that conversation came from, because I just don't think it would. Anyway, not to say it can't be on the table, but this is the hub of where it all happens for us, and we need to be here. But if everybody's okay with it, I would love, Matt, I think it'd be great if you could do that.
It's no replacing you, but I can only, try.
I don't know, I think you're gonna be a lot of fun.
I don't know about that.
And
Thank you, Mary, for what you do on this.
yeah,
too.
thank you, Mary. It's super important. So on the flip side of that, then I am, if everybody have me, I'm more than willing to continue as the chair for this commission, should people care to have that, because I can do that one.
Yes, here.
Here, and I gotta say, just you navigating through this whole process, which you know all the great details, I was more concerned that you were not gonna be chair, so anything we could do to maintain you being chair, and you don't know Phil very well, but he does a lot of great.
Our kids were on the same soccer.
Oh,
team.
are they really?
It's so
Oh,
funny.
did you recruit her?
No, but we went through the
Oh.
process, and we got the names, we looked at the things, and I was like, okay, we're talking, and we went, oh, I know you, that's Thomas's mom. We finally figured it out.
Just a quick other point, the other thing with electing individuals like Angel, I think to have a chair that understands the larger perspective, specifically since this 10-year plan is coming, and specifically because today you just showed how locked in you are, I think it's almost critical that you say to chair, so I strongly second that.
Okay, I guess we'll take a motion, we'll wait for Daniel to come back, but that's great. I can't do both, and one of them I really can't do,
Awesome.
so I will be more than happy to.
Solves a
continue
lot of problems.
on the chair. We'll wait for Daniel to come back. So the next thing we're gonna do is schedule our next meetings.
Actually, Phil, I need a vote for the liaison to the land use working group, okay?
I'm just waiting for Daniel to come back in. So
Thank
we can
you.
all.
Okay,
all
I just
be-
want to make sure.
So we got two votes to sort of formally do election of a chair.
I nominate Phil.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye, unanimous.
Okay. Liaison to the land use working group. Now I nominate Matt. Sorry, Commissioner Boger will be very. Second,
Commissioner.
all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Very
Matt, thank
good.
you.
Very
All
good.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Get to spend time with Mary, this is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
All
We'll
right.
see how we feel in a few months. Okay.
We do have.
Right
a-
back at you, I don't know if you want me.
We're gonna get to new business segment, future meetings. We've been a little haphazard about how we've done this in the past, and we've kind of been waiting for a new person to get on board before we do it. I think with the various projects and a bunch of things coming up, we ought to think about monthly moving release for now. For the next few months, and let's say for the next 6 months, let's set a monthly date, and then we can revisit if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Are Thursday evenings generally good, or are there other nights of the week that are better?
Thursday's okay with me.
Thursday.
Thursdays in
Tuesdays
general are good,
Yeah.
and Thursdays at 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the second, what, are we the second, where are we right now? So it's a second Tuesday or?
It's Thursday.
Thursday, I'm sorry, Thursday, pardon me.
Thursday. Yeah, we're on the second Thursday now. We can do the second Thursday of the month moving forward, so that'll be October 9th. November 13th, December 11th.
It works really well.
Set those out as at 6 p.m. on the second Thursday of the month.
You got it.
Can someone send out a calendar thing? So I
Yeah.
can, that's great, thank you.
The nine, right?
She's got it.
Yeah, that works really well, great.
Perfect.
I'll set it out for what, the next 6 months, you said?
I think that probably makes sense. That gets us into the spring, and then we can do the fun things like meeting at White Pond and.
Yeah. Did we do that this year? We didn't do that.
No, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
The
Then we'll
second
do,
Thursday of each month?
yeah,
At 6.
and then we'll schedule our
Yeah.
splash pad
Great.
tour and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much. And now, new business. Lee, anything you wanted to bring up under new business?
I just have one item of new business, and I do believe Phil brought it up just a few minutes ago at the beginning of the meeting, talking about the Activitas is gonna run a public meeting for us. They're gonna present 3 concepts. They're gonna ask for we're gonna ask for public comment as a subcommittee. We'll ask for public comment. We want to decide on what date that is, and we want to make sure that it's a date in case you want to come that's appropriate. And I did meet with Activitas, and they are wide open in October. We looked at the town calendar as well, just so you know, when we were talking about dates with Activitas, and I wanted to go on a night that not a lot of meetings are happening, so the public could join.
Mm.
You know, there was a lot of looking into that and trying to determine my best guess around who would want to be there, and not to do it on that night because of a certain public meeting. So I have 2 dates for you. October 21st or October 28th. And I would like, Bill, if you wanted to make the final decision, but they want to know what date it is, obviously. And I need to be there, You would want to be there probably as a subcommittee, a write-out subcommittee, and you would want to be there, so it's important that.
And we're talking about an evening meeting in West Concord. We
Yeah,
probably
well,
get-
West, wherever you want to do it, I gotta find a place.
I think the Wheeler Center, I think the big room with the
Harvey
Harvey
Wheeler,
Wheeler
I
Center.
thought that was
would be the
great.
place to do
Yeah,
it.
I thought that was great.
And it should, my guess is it should be in an evening,
Yes, it
meeting, so
definitely-
people coming home from work can get in. I don't know what time do we normally start those?
5 or 6, probably
Okay.
6 is best. That way if people work in Boston, they can get back for
Yeah.
the public meeting, because it is gonna be, I hope it's quite a lot of
I hope
input.
so.
Sorry, the 2 days are 28th.
21st and 28th.
21st.
So either one of those seem to work well with the town calendar, Activitas, and so I just wanna know if you.
Either one works for me, Daniel. So the reminder again, this is, the way we set it up was that the project subcommittee would host this meeting, get any feedback, and then bring it back to the full Recreation Commission for our recommendation for approval. Everybody, of course, is welcome to.
I'd love to be, I can't do the 21st, I could do the 28th, but I'm not a critical
Yeah.
person.
I can
Yeah.
do either. It's more the time that I finish work at 6:30 can be there, but I probably can make it work to be there at 6, but like no later than 6 for sure. I mean,
Did you say both dates? I'm sorry.
yeah. 20 is more like at what time on Tuesdays. I work until 6 and sometimes I'm not here in town.
Would you
So
prefer we started at 6:30? We can do that.
6:30 would be better for me,
There's no reason.
but
I mean, there might be a reason. I just don't know what it is. I will ask for
I think
6:30.
it's not bad to do 60. I mean, if there's like,
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
home from work.
So,
Do you want to be there?
21st.
like to be,
Yeah.
but I also don't know if Carrie might like to be there as well, just because of the size of the project.
Okay.
There you go.
First,
Do you want to do the
Yeah, if you
21st?
guys want to be there, and sure, the 21st works for me.
Okay. Let's see, so the only caveat would be, let me go try to get that facility the 21st. If there is no availability on October 21st, I'm just gonna go ahead and send an email to the route subcommittee. I'll copy Jess so she can get Carrie involved. And we can talk about a different date if we need to, but for right now, it's the 21st.
Definitely have in West Concord though, right?
Yes, I think that's.
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
want.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And just as an FYI, I'm gonna, brief the West Concord Advisory Committee about this on October 1st, so
Good.
they'll have some. They're aware of it.
And I'm gonna go for 6:30, and if not 6:30, I'll have to choose 6, but seems like they would let us be open.
yeah, we probably can work it out.
Yeah, yeah.
6:30 would- For
Okay,
sure.
I think we did. Pickleballers want to get that.
That's what I'm-
over there.
yeah.
That work. I have one other item of new business. I got a request. Uh. From the school committee. They're doing their CPC application related to the. Whatchamacallit, the amenities building, and they asked whether we could send a letter of support in to the CPC for funding that. What we did last year when it came up to the, I think it was for the Board of Selectmen, we had sort of said we are fully supportive of ADA accessibility on facilities. That's 100% something that we support. And I think where the town has gotten to on this, the town is on board with the CPC application. That's right, the town itself is
For the
the amenities building, or is that still a question that's wide open?
I mean, it's sort of an interesting area, because town can vote it down, the amenities building, so I don't know what the latest decision is. Town meeting already spoke on the matter. I don't know if Mary has any updates from the select
Yeah,
board.
I guess, Phil, what do you mean by the town?
I don't know, because previously when we were asked this question before, but I think it must have been before the town.
It's right before
Before
town.
town meeting, the Board of Selectmen, the town, everybody had sort of endorsed the project, essentially coming into the town meeting. Because I didn't want to put, I wanted to know that before we had the Recreation Commission, I didn't want the town saying no, and the Recreation Commission saying yes, so I wanted to know where we were. And so everybody had sort of endorsed it that we could say we were supportive of the project. I
Well,
didn't
the
know that.
select board makes a recommendation on every article that comes in front of town meeting. So, we took a vote and I think it was 3-2 to, support it. The finance committee also makes a recommendation at town meeting for any article that spends money. Other articles, other committees can weigh in on if they think it's part of their purview. So you've got to be I would recommend that you be careful about, is this part of your purview to make a recommendation? So you might want to think about that.
I know it's a recommendation, they're asking for support, a lot of organizations write letters of
What does
support.
that mean?
to the CPC, saying we support this project. We think this is a good project. We think CPC should fund it. That's the question. That's what it would be at this point. The same way Oars writes a letter in support of our activity going on at Giroux or at Calf Pass or whatever, these kinds of things.
Yeah,
And
ours is not a town committee though.
No, I know that, but it's,
It's a touchy area. So, you know, if individually, if you want to support it, that's fine. As a committee, I would think about it. That's all.
I mean, again, especially because town meetings are involved on the project, I think that's where it gets into an additional wrinkle. Yes, this is a different source of money at CPC, but. I mean, I've seen chatter online and then the bridge about like, oh, well, the town meeting's voted this project, we voted no, so.
wait, town meeting voted for it, and then you mean the town voted no?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right, the town vote. I would, the assessment of the town vote, I think, could be taken two ways. A, the funding of it and not necessarily the project. I think the community, I would say, is thinking more that way opposed to not supporting the bathrooms. And I
If
do,
it was summer.
yeah, I'm right, it's democracy, right? So don't we, we do part of the soccer, right? Do we help the soccer fields?
We don't,
We scheduled them.
We schedule the field.
that's all we do is schedule them. We
Right.
those are the Doug Whitefields up the top.
Those are Doug White.
top, the bottom.
Oh, we do the
You do the
bottom.
bottom two?
Not Memorial, so we do Glen White, the upper grass field, all of Emerson, and then all of Rhino.
We do means we
When I
reserve.
said, so it's sort of following on Mary's question, do we have a role in that? Are the facilities that we use going to have? The places that we use, we don't use that amenities building.
However, this is the interesting part of probably being the recreation commission. There's the recreation department use. That's why I try to be very clear about what the recreation department uses. But then that word is also being used for general recreation,
Yeah.
right? Community recreation.
Yeah,
It is, for instance, a park is a place to recreate in a lot of people's minds. So that's recreation.
right.
So it's really, I just like to throw that out there and that maybe sometimes people
Yeah.
overlap the terms. But right now, I just want you to know, we only schedule.
Hmm.
We do not. use
We don't run any programs that
Nothing.
would use any of those facilities
For the department,
for the department.
correct.
If we schedule them.
We do.
And Doug White does have one toilet, right? So if kids, someone,
Couple of porta potties or something?
Doug White has a bathroom facility.
yeah, but one, but only one toilet.
Yeah,
I don't know, actually.
No, they have-
and in them.
Yeah.
No, in the men's room,
They have like a men's room.
In the
They have
men's room.
women's room.
Yeah.
right, in the men's room, I know exactly, I'm in there a lot, yeah. So like if someone had to scurry to the bathroom, that could be
Hanging out.
a recreational use opposed to watering trees. Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know, so the question, I'm wary to jump into this thing, given as Mary said, the town has voted, we don't have a specific interest in it. We have always said that we support full ADA compliance and accessibility on anything that we do, because that's an important value for us. But given that the town has spoken on various things, we're gonna come back to town for funding on lots of other things ourselves, and it may just not be in our interest to engage on this one. I don't know.
but this letter would be to CPC,
CPC,
not the
Not to the
town,
town,
right?
that's the ask. They're putting in a
Yeah.
CPC application for the balance of the funding they want. I got a call from the chair of school committee asking whether we would consider sending a
Tracy.
support. Yeah, whether
Yeah.
we'd consider sending a support.
I kind of like your idea of like, we are the Recreation Commission. And even though we don't necessarily schedule that, we are supportive of recreation in general. And for a specific utilization of recreation opportunities, we think bathrooms would be appropriate in that area. So I think you could have a roundabout support saying it's recreational use just in general. That would be my thought.
Pete, well, you have your thumb on the politics of town?
Anybody would disagree with the idea of having some decent bathrooms located there.
Yeah.
I think it got voted down by the town. By the way, I'm one of the people who voted against it because I thought that the price tag was absolutely outrageous. Because so during football games, a few people can go to the bathroom and you don't need, I forget how many toilets there were. It
16
was like 16 or so toilets and you could build a house for that amount of money. I'm talking personally now, not as a member of the Recreation Commission. And I think that's why a lot of people objected because it seemed like an extravagance to spend that much money.
It's funny, you remind me of we got in a situation, not to. I have a similar story and I can talk about several years later. Plumbing codes require you to do certain things, which is where they come up with this number. When I was working with the state, we built a facility out on an island in Boston Harbor, right? And they said, how many people are gonna go? There's maybe 100 people there on a given day, but on a particular day, you may have 3,000 people out there for events. So you've got this facility out there that has 18 toilets in it, and there's never more than 10 people on the island. And it cost a boatload of money. So the argument you look at it now, it's maintenance costs. So the cost of these things and the plumbing code gets you out of whack with some things that you don't necessarily need to do. So that's certainly a valid question.
Well, I thought for that amount of money, you could hire a car that would drive people to the school toilet. A fraction of that.
We just use the Dunkin' Donuts anyways, right? We're here.
Take care. Thanks.
So my position would be that we, as a committee, we probably ought not to take a position on that, because it's about more than just whether there should be toilets or not. It's about the cost.
Yeah. My take on this, I think it's something that we value and stand for, ADA accessibility, and I think we could say something we think it's very important to have fully accessible facilities for any kind of recreation that's going on anywhere you can do it. That's a value that we have, and we want to support that. Could certainly say that, and this, at least my understanding of the project, that's the sort of the main objective that's going on. And we can be sort of agnostic about it from that perspective.
It lines up with the department values that are listed on our website, that the inclusivity is really important and diversity is really important.
Okay.
Just by I mentioned.
I'd also note that you just said you had bathroom issues here. So if someone's like, I'm out and about, I want to go to the bathroom, too busy here, could go to the library and there's 3 bathrooms in there. So like there you could go to Dunkin' Donuts, which is a public venue. I think this is kind of a community resource for people who enjoy the outside.
So two questions. Is there a threshold level that we could write a letter that can support ADA accessibility, and that the CPC fully sort of look at this thing as opposed to wholeheartedly endorsing it versus, and I don't know if that's too thin a line.
I'd be in favor of writing a letter, something like that, something kind of broad, and ADA and bathrooms or it could be at recreational utilization.
Daniel, what's your thought?
Yeah, that's okay with me, something like that.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
With the back.
I'll go along.
As I say, I think everybody understands the larger politics of what's going on here, and we can acknowledge that. I think we put up there with it. It's something we value, and then we think that's something we support, and I'll work on a letter to that. That's right. Well, everybody's in favor of that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, thank you. So anybody from the public? This has been a marathon, but a very good meeting.
Got a lot done.
There's
Very informative.
except Mary.
Mary, any final
What?
words?
No, I said enough. Thank you.
All right, we shall adjourn.